If you change the dream, you change the world. Aloha, shifters, dreamers, light guardians, Jedis from all across this holographic matrix. This is Brendan, and you are tuned in for another very exciting, inspirational, educational broadcast of Paradigm Shift Dream Class. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as per usual, we are joined by some fellow amazing shifters from across the internet, across the globe, joining us here for this broadcast. So fellow shifters of the world, please feel free to unmute yourself and say hello to the beautiful people tuned into this from beyond this present moment and beyond. So shifters,
Namaste.
Make some noise. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Zdravo, ljudi. Давай.
Mushy. Sweet, guys. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this. As we mentioned, this is a Paradigm Shift Dream Class broadcast, and what we're going to be doing here tonight, we're going to be having some discussion about dreaming, lucid dreaming, dream exploration, consciousness, metaphysics, dimensions, the nature of the human mind, and infinity and beyond, and all that shifty goodness. So for those of you who may be entirely new to this, Paradigm Shift Dream Class is part of the ParadigmShiftCentral.com project, a real-world interactive game to help shift consciousness. We do regular ongoing broadcasts as part of the real world game to be able to help document the shift and to be able to come together as a community and to be able to practice having these discussions so that we can take some of this insight, apply it into our everyday life, but also to be able to go out there and engage with our communities through regular discussions. And again, in this process, being able to bring more attention and more vigilance and consistency and intention to our own dream process. So to begin, we're going to go around the circle and have people introduce themselves and to say a little bit about what brings them to Dream Class. And just for myself, again, my name is Brendan. I'm in London, Ontario, Canada. And what brings me to Dream Class is a basic idea that this is something that I even just mentioned at the top of the show, and we'll get into it a little bit later, but I feel that when it comes to changing the world, if we can put focus on our dreams, I feel, and this is something I want to get into discussion later, that will in turn allow us to change the world, because it will teach us more about our ability to create within this present moment. Dreams are a big thing about awakening us to our multidimensional reality. And within the dream space, we realize that thoughts create. We realize that things are a holographic reflection of our consciousness. And through the process of waking up within our dreams, we wake up to our potential as co-creators of this dream, this physical dimension right here and right now. So that is part of the reason what brings me to Dream Class, to help inspire others to keep looking into the dreams, while inviting and encouraging myself as well to be able to continue to learn more from my dreams and to become a better dreamer within this dream collectively as part of an awesome team. So that's why I'm here. So let's pass the talking stick around and hear a little bit more about from other people. And again, as we get into this, for those of you tuned in live and in the future, please feel free to share this with your friends on your profiles, on your social networks. And even if you want to join the broadcast, you can join through the link on the YouTube. The link to join is through the video info as well. So much love and thank you, everyone. And this is going to be fun. Here we go. All right, so to whoever would like to introduce themselves first, please feel free to just unmute your microphone and we'll pass a talking stick over to you. And again, reminding ourselves that this is really just about practice, guys. So that's really just the core of this. So who would like to introduce themselves first? Maybe Ryan would want to go first, since I know he's going to be heading out soon enough. So Ryan, if you're there, we'll just check in with you. And if that's cool, we can pass the talking stick over to you. Does that work?
Sounds good,
Sounds good. Friend. All right, Ryan, give us say who you are, quick introduction, and what brings you to Dream Class.
All right, my name is Ryan Frechette. I was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. I currently live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I spend my time back and forth between Las Vegas and Peru. I am the owner and creator of a Spiritual Hand Ayahuasca Center. So I am constantly speaking with the spiritual world, helping people heal. I see myself as a healer, and you can check us out on any kind of social media at A Spiritual Hand. Look us up anyway. So when it comes to dreaming, I have had some really interesting thoughts lately about this, and I am a very interesting character when it comes to dreaming. It is off and on for me, and what I believe after almost 32 years of my life, I'm starting to recognize that my dream state depends on my alignment, how I am living spiritually. And it is very obvious. I used to look at dreams as a thing that was just a fun little happening that happened when you fell asleep. But as I grow into my spirituality, I am finding that there is a huge relation to dreams and the spiritual side. And of course, a lot of people say that, we know that, but I think I mean it a little bit of a deeper level, is to where dreams can, it's almost a level of manifestation in a sense. I believe that you dream things because you kind of go to bed thinking about them and it works its way into what's happening. But there's this certain world that we enter in dreaming. And coming from someone who deals with plant medicines and a lot of psychedelics as a sacrament healing level, it's a world similar to something like that. And in this world, a lot is accomplished and can be done, anything you can think of. So to me, there's some beautiful connection there, and work can be done in this dream state. And I also feel as when you're dreaming, and when you're dreaming, there seems to be a connection with real life. It is a dream. It's off in the distance. It's while you're sleeping. But a lot of the times, dreams seem to come to life in some sense. And the more you dream, I think the more it opens you up to beautiful possibilities in your life. It plants seeds in your manifestation garden, so to speak. And so for me, it's interesting. I don't dream all the time, or I don't remember my dreams. And that is something really strange that I've been trying to diagnose in a sense. Why don't I remember my dreams? Why, or why don't I dream? I don't know exactly what's going on yet. But I find as though when I dream, I feel better spiritually. I feel more aligned. And also, there's a more positive side that seems to manifest itself stronger and more directly than, let's say, a meditation style thought process.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know what it all means, and I think that's why this is a great discussion. I might have to leave, but I'm looking forward to hearing what other people say, and I would really love to hear some professionals on this in some sense, one way or another, hopefully in the near future. But I'm excited that this is a topic, and I look forward to what everybody has to say. Thank you very much for having me, Brendan.
Awesome, Ryan. Well, thank you for being here, and again, and I think your moment, like your last comments there, summarize the exciting part about dreams, is that the fact that, you know, here we are, we're like grown adults. We've been dreaming our entire life, and yet we still don't really know what it means. We still haven't figured it out yet. Dreams are the ever-present mystery within this reality. And we've kind of talked about this.
Beautiful.
We've talked about this in past broadcasts about like how the mysteries are really such an important thing along the spiritual journey. They keep us like looking, they keep us seeking. So dreams are always there to help like turn those spiritual wheels, so to speak. So huge shout out to the dreams, wherever they are coming from. But we'll figure that out. So thanks, Ryan, and much love. We'll keep passing the talking stick around. And if you have to jump out early, please just let us know, and we'll get you a chance to say anything before you head out. So let's
thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. And let's keep passing the talking stick around. So to whoever would like to introduce themselves next and share a little bit about what brings them to Dream Class, and then beyond that, we'll just get into some freestyle conversations, some tips and tricks, anything that you guys want to talk about, some specific dreams we've had, and so forth. maybe this is just like going with the fact that they're new-ish, but I was just going to ask if Kirk may want to go next, being someone who is recently new to Dream Class, but by no means new to the metaphysics. Kirk, if you would like to introduce yourself next, please feel free to let us know and unmute your microphone, and we will go from there. So Kirk, go ahead if you'd like.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can. Sounds good. And welcome to Dream Class.
Oh, thank you, Brendan. My name's Kirk. I'm an interdimensional shamanic healer. I'm a natural-born trance medium, and I've had 5 near-death experiences. And, you know, what's an appropriate time to speak, Brendan? 5 to 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
Well, let's aim for 5 minutes. Yeah, just as introductions, we'll keep it short for here. Yeah.
Okay. You know, I'm here to listen and learn. It's interesting. Tuesday night at this time is like it's almost a dead zone for me. It's like, and the link shows up in my feed. I can't stand, the last thing I want to do is watch Netflix or TV. I can't stand it. And I'm just tired, and the link comes up, and I think what you're doing is really interesting. I'm in my 50s. The kind of part of me that really would have loved this, you know, to be in my 20s and like be connected to other people that always, you got, whatever you say is very germane, and what I've always believed and never heard anybody else say out loud until recently with the advent of the internet and YouTube. While Ryan was talking, I thought about like 15 years ago, before the internet took off, I was a bartender in Midtown and a filmmaker, and I asked the people sitting at the bar waiting for the restaurant to fill out these papers and tell me about their strongest dream they've had. And then I was going to turn this into a film. And I have like, I don't know, around 50 to 75 of these one-page dreams from other people. And they're really amazing to read. As far as being an interdimensional shamanic healer, I mean, I think it's all a dream. I don't see any difference between the waking state and the quote-unquote sleeping, putting your body to sleep state. What an interdimensional healer does is you suspend time, and then you move things for the person. You try to bring harmony to their body or their mind. So you're really if you really want to affect an affirmation, you try to go into alpha state. So you could use hallucinogenics, you could use sleeping pills, you can use trance states, ecstatic states, you could use sexual chaos magic. But what you want to do is be in your body awake, and then try to be in the alpha state, and then affect the dream while you actually are, your eyes are open, not like sleeping in your bed. So you can toss things out like in the Tao and have the communication. What I teach my clients is in the dream state of you in your day, that's a dream state. And what you want to do is toss things out and see how the universe will respond. Sometimes it will respond immediately to you. I'd like to find $20 on the street. Boom. 4 blocks later, there's the $20. So I've experienced stuff like that. And so I use that to the benefit of my clients. I'm basically here to learn. You know, I have over 300 hours of videos where I talk about metaphysics, and I've studied metaphysics my entire life. And I'm glad to be here and be, you know, connected and to listen. That's the basic idea.
Awesome, Kirk. Thank you so much for being here. And just as an introduction, I posted a link for people in the YouTube, but what's the best place for people to find some of your stuff? And for those of you who may not know, Kirk actually like hosts like a show on public broadcast that goes out of New York, Manhattan. I believe it's Manhattan, I mean. But yeah, if Kirk, if you just want to let people know what's the best place for them to connect with you, central website or otherwise?
Well, hit me up on Facebook. If you just go over to Google, the Google search engine, and type in Kirk Shamanic Healer, Kirk Shaman, New York City. My website's kirkspiritual.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. Like, I'm a very easy guy to find. Twitter. If you want to send me a direct email, Kirk TV, which is my TV show, KIRK TV @gmail.com. And like a lot of people that you're connected to, Brendan, are also connected to me as well on my Facebook. So any of those are fine.
Perfect. Awesome. Yes. So again, kirkspiritual.com is the core website, and then you guys can get links from there. But definitely, Kirk, thank you for joining in. I look forward to getting some of your shamanic insight on the dream topic. So awesome. Sweet, guys. Okay, so let's keep bouncing around as we go through these introductions, and anybody who has any questions that you guys might want to start preparing in the comments for those of you on YouTube and stuff like that, please feel free to do that. Please feel free to kind of share some questions, and if you can just put them in asterisks or just write in capitals question and then like hyphen put your question, that way so it's just easier for us to see it. And then for those of you who are communicating through the live chat, that way you guys are still part of the class. You guys are still part of the discussion. So huge shout out to those of you watching this live, and let's keep rolling along with things. So who would like to introduce themselves next? Jeremy, we'll pass it over to you. And Jeremy, welcome back to another Paradigm Shift broadcast. And give us a quick introduction of who you are and what brings you to Dream Class.
Yeah, hi, Brendan and everyone else. I'm Jeremy. I'm a UFO enthusiast. I collect UFO stories and from people. I'm always open to listening to people's different type of experiences with altered states of consciousness as well. And I think dreaming for me is a good time for me to start thinking about dreaming again, because it's one of my few refuges from my regular life. And I've been noticing that my dreams have been really, really intense lately, but having a very difficult time with recall. So I'm going to just be probably listening mostly as much as I can tonight to see if I can pick up anything and listen to the pulse of the universe through the screen here, and putting in my 2 cents where I think it'll make $1. So, and yeah, it's nice to see everyone, and I hope everyone is well tonight. So
awesome. Perfect. Sweet. Thanks, Jeremy, for being here. And Jeremy is also, in addition to being a UFO enthusiast, is also an astrologer, an astrology enthusiast. And maybe that will be something that can come up in terms of even like, do dreams change during different cycles, during different cosmic cycles, astrology and stuff like that. And that's something I want to get into as we get going. Like the idea that, dreams are not just like teaching us or entertaining us. They're really trying to show us. They're trying to bring our attention to certain things. And one thing that sort of came into my attention recently was the idea that dreams can sometimes bring our attention to things that we still need to heal, the things that we still need to work on. And so like because that may be a thing, right? Like sometimes there's like something we haven't fully dealt with, and we're just kind of like, we haven't talked about it. We're kind of keeping it hidden. And then suddenly, we'll have like a crazy dream about it, and we'll just be like, holy crap, like I forgot about that. Like that's still something there. So the dream will do that. The dream is literally like has access to like every single part of you, the parts that are well known and the parts that are hidden. So if there's anything that you're hiding at any moment, like that's something that can come up within the dreams, but it's coming up for your betterment. It's coming up like out of service to you, because I do feel that dreams, when we're really in tune with them, are always there to like help evolve our consciousness, and by getting in tune with them can really help accelerate things in some very exciting ways. So let's keep bouncing around, guys. And again, thank you so much for those of you tuning in live and in the future. And for those of you live or otherwise, please feel free to continue sharing the show with your friends and so forth. So let's keep bouncing the talking stick around for the brief introduction. So who would like to go next in terms of introductions? Please feel free to unmute yourself. And we'll go from there. So we'll just give it a second to see who would like to introduce themselves next. Maybe does Kiwi want to introduce himself, perhaps? If Kiwi's there, we'll give him a chance.
Is it working?
Yeah, that sounds okay. Yeah. Cool. Kiwi, we'll pass the talking stick over to you, and welcome to Dream Class. And go ahead and give us a bit of an introduction and what brings you to Dream Class.
Well, thank you for having me. Dreams, they just affected my life. I think the perceived dream state affects your perceived waking state, and vice versa, both ways. It's helped a lot in my spiritual evolution. I wouldn't be the person I am. I don't believe without certain dreams that helped me come to realizations, and that affect the way how I see the world. I follow my dreams. I try to always follow my dreams in a way. They are just think that for me personally that I tackle with was my first memory a dream, or was it a past life memory? That's the very first thing as far back as I can remember, is something that wasn't as I was a kid. So from dreams, things happening in dreams, and so you said it's the mysteries. I love the mysteries. I love learning about the mysteries. And yeah, it's all about learning, experience, and loving life, figuring it out.
For sure, man, for sure. Figuring it out, figuring ourselves out, nasa te ipsum, all that good stuff. So sweet. Cool. Well, Kiwi, thanks again for joining us here. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Awesome. Sweet, guys. Okay, let's keep bouncing around. And again, for those of you who may have some questions for the group, post them in the live chat, and I'll do my best to be able to keep an eye on them. And we'll keep bouncing around with some introductions, and then from there, we'll just kind of see where consciousness wants to take the conversation. So to whoever would like to introduce themselves next, please feel free to unmute your microphone, and we'll pass the talking stick to you. So just giving it a second to see who would like to introduce themselves next. We have, just for those of you
listening on audio-wise, we still have Ashley, we have Dave, aka Gentle Chaos, and we also have Katarina, Catbot, who is tuned in, and one of you guys maybe wants to join. Maybe we'll pass it over to Dave for now. Dave, if that's cool with you, we can pass the talking stick over to you if you're ready to do that. And get a quick introduction. So Dave, if you just want to check your microphone, and if you're ready to go, we'll pass the talking stick over to you. Cool. Okay, so Dave, you can just welcome, and
I'm always ready, brother. Always ready.
Okay, so go ahead. You can tell us who you are and what brings you to Dream Class.
We'll pass the talking stick over to you. Cool. Okay, so Dave, you can just welcome, and
a little feedback.
I'm always ready, brother. Always ready.
Let me turn this down real quick.
Go ahead. You can tell us who you are and what brings you.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. My name's Dave. I woke up from suffering. There was a degree of suffering that I reached in my life that was it was the dark night of the soul, and it woke me up. And so dreams, I smoke herb at night, and so I don't really have any dreams at all that I remember either. So this is not, I have no here at this one, brother, because dreams aren't something that shows up for me at all.
No worries, man. No worries.
Yeah, I do got a jaw harp though. So
sorry, what do you have? What was that?
Jaw harp. That jaw harp.
Oh, a jaw. Okay.
Yeah, the jaw harp.
Cool. Sweet, man. Yeah, and that's, you know what, like, again, like the intention with this dream class is to really just like bring people together from all spectrums of dreams. Because literally, for those of you who tune into this class, you'll see that, you know, we'll get some people who like vividly remember their dreams every night. You get some people who lucid dream by default. You get some people who don't remember their dreams on a common basis. And so this is like a chance for us to be able to look at some of the reasons as to like what is you know, developing our relationship with our dreams. And I mean, even just something that we do mention literally every class, because I think it is worth mentioning, especially considering like kind of the niche demographic of people who tend to be drawn to things like this. One of the tips that we do talk about is the idea of just a relationship between cannabis and dream exploration, dream recall. That's just the thing that I can even share from my own experience, and we'll just hit upon it real quick here, but we can always get back into it further. For those of you who may be working with cannabis on a regular basis, try, if you choose to cut back on it and to be able to observe your dreams like coming back. And it is a common thing that if you're smoking cannabis, that you won't necessarily remember your dreams. And that, again, that's like something that I've experienced too. So like, it's kind of making that choice of like, do you want to like quote unquote like get high in the physical, or do you want to like roll the dice and get high quote unquote in the dream space by having some crazy psychedelic dream? And I think what's interesting is that within dreams, it's like you really have to put a lot of trust in the dream process. You kind of have to like surrender to it, in that idea that it's like you don't know what dream you're going to have that night. There's no guarantee. Whereas if you like smoke cannabis, you kind of have an idea of what you're going to get. But within the dream space, you're kind of just like all right, like I am open to receiving what may come my way. And then sometimes like you may still not necessarily remember a dream, and that may be a common thing for you. But sometimes, this is something we can talk about, it seems that the dream space has like this hyper intelligence that is constantly in communication with us and kind of only shows us what we're ready to see. Or maybe that's not the best way to put it, but only showing us like what is like right for us at that moment, kind of thing. And sometimes that may mean not getting a dream, because that may mean like, you know, it's just like, okay, and again, this is from personal experience. It's like, okay, like I didn't smoke weed today, and then I'm going to dream tonight, and then this is going to be awesome. And then I'll go to sleep, and then I won't have a full recall of a dream. And I'll be like, But I can either make a choice at that point. I can either be like, well, screw this, I tried, and go back to smoking cannabis and not care about my dreams. Or I can be like, no, like this is another chance to like practice vigilance and practice like determination, and say like, I know it's possible for me to remember my dreams, and just because I didn't remember them this one night doesn't mean it's a be all end all. So it may be something where it's just kind of the dreams and our relationships with our dreams can really like challenge us into refining our habits, into refining our character, into refining our characteristics. And that is, again, like something that I think dreams are really important, are because whereas some people do have vivid dreams by default, other people, the everyman, if we want to just, you know, use that term in general, has to dedicate a degree of intention and effort to be able to engage with their dreams on a deeper level. So it's really something that you kind of have to work towards and earn. And in the process of doing that, it makes the relationship more valuable. That way, so when you do have that dream, you're just like, whoa, like, that was special because I worked for it. I put the intention into it, and the universe acknowledges that. It's just like, okay, like you've been doing good. Here's a gift, you know, and it may be like this like super like blissful dream kind of thing. And we'll talk more as we go again about like what are dreams, like what are they, you know, from this multi-dimensional perspective. And that's something that I'm super excited to always be able to talk about, because again, something I've said before, I think the dream space is much closer to where we are actually from. Like that is like our origin space as soul and spirit. That is what we are used to. That is what we are born out of. And then we come into the physical through like this process, and we forget that we're actually from there. Yet every night when we dream, we're going back there. And that is, again, where we were from before we were born and where we go to after we die. And this is where you can start connecting the dots, and the idea that the dream space allows you to access information from a non-temporal perspective, and it allows you to manifest things more instantaneously because it doesn't have the illusions of like this reality through the dimensions and the physicality of it. And it allows you to like even interact with loved ones who have even passed on. So when you start looking at these like little clues, it starts drawing a little bit bigger of a picture as to what the dreams are. But again, like, this is, you know, think for yourself. This is just kind of like me putting together the pieces of the puzzle in a way that is also logical for my brain to wrap around, rather than just being like, dreams are like something that the brain just makes up based on previous information. Yes, that's part of it, but to think about them as actually being like that etheric realm where we're actually from, and by learning in the dream space, we're learning to create within this space, to me, that resonates. But again, just putting that idea out there and encouraging you guys to keep asking questions and keep thinking for yourself. So with that said, we'll keep bouncing around, and we'll go through some more introductions. And we do have Ashley, we have Bianca, and we have Katarina, and a new player just joined the game, Starseed. And so whoever would like to say hello next, please feel free to do so. And just unmute your microphone, and we'll pass the talking stick over to you. And maybe if Ashley or Bianca wants to go, Katarina just dropped out. So if one of you guys wants to go, and if not, if you honestly just don't, if you're just more interested in listening, that's totally cool too. We can just kind of keep bouncing around again. And let me just check in with the people on the live chat in the meantime, see if there's any questions. Again, guys, if you guys have any questions in the live chat, literally just write question before your question so that I can see it easier. So maybe Katarina wants to introduce herself next and do a quick little bit. Is that cool, Kat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right,
Yeah.
So we'll pass it over to Kat. And Kat, you can say a little bit about who you are and what brings you to Dream Class. And welcome to Dream Class.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kat, and I am from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, currently in Vancouver right now. What brings me to Dream Class? I've always really been really fascinated with dreams ever since I was a child. I always remember having like super vivid dreams and asking a lot of people and friends and family about their dreams, and discovering that, you know, not many people really like looked into their dreams as much. And when I was young, I didn't really have a lot of people to talk about what they might have meant or what other people's dreams were like, except for like a select few people. So there's always been this inquisitiveness towards the topic of dreaming and the exploration and understanding your psyche through the dream space. And for me, it's always been a reflection of what it is I'm going through, no matter how like erratic and sort of like intangible the dream may seem. For me, if I really try to examine it, there's always like a little bit or piece of something within the dream that's reflecting in my reality somehow, that I either have to pay attention to, or that I have to heal from, or you know, sometimes like you'll dream about something and then you'll end up like meeting that person or running into that person. Like I sometimes get those, but not very often. The precognitive dreams. Yeah, so dreaming has always really been a fascinating topic for me. In recent times, I have been recording them just by taking like little jot notes, and then here and there I'll write like the full scope dream if I have some time to sit down and really think about it. But I've been finding that lately I've been having like pretty decent recall. I didn't write down my 2 dreams that I had today, and I can remember most of what's been happening. I don't take any dream supplements, but I have been taking like a couple regular supplements, so maybe that's been helping with the recall. I'm not too sure. Yeah, and I'm a firm believer in the fact that, or in the idea that dreams unveil a certain aspect of ourself that is needing to be healed from, which has been very relevant for me with the current dreams that I'm having in the last like few weeks. So yeah, I'm excited to be in this class with you guys, to hear all your unique stories about your journeying with dreams, and yeah, I look forward to interacting and hearing all of it.
Sweet. Awesome. Thanks, Kat.
No problem.
We'll keep going from there. And again, within this broadcast, if you guys have like any particular dreams that you want to share, anything that you want to talk about, to even be like, you know, maybe bring it up because you're asking people for more insight on what it may mean. The other night I had a dream of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was a vigilante superhero, and he bit some guy's eyebrow off right in front of me. What does that mean? I don't know. I was already talking to Kat about this, and I'm just like, maybe it's like reflecting some sort of like deep-rooted fear that I have of like somebody biting my eyebrows off, and I'm like, no, not my eyebrows. Those are like, without my eyebrows, I'm nothing. For those of you listening to this in the audio in the future, you could probably hear my eyebrows. They usually get picked up on the microphone. Anyways, so yeah, crazy dreams, right? Dreams have all sorts of crazy stuff in them. And again, like, this is something we can talk about sometimes if the symbolism is just like so far-fetched, because again, it's almost crazy how the universe is just like piling together information. It's almost like a random meme generator sometimes. But it's at the very least, if you have no idea what a dream actually meant, ask yourself how it made you feel, and then use that as a reference point to like writing something down within your journal. And again, super basic tips, writing down your dreams is like the key practical tip for being able to interact with your dreams. It's developing your dream recall memory, and also being able to do meditation and reality checks and other tips and tricks. And we'll get into those, and we've literally mentioned them in every broadcast, but it's always fun to go back because there's always going to be new people tuning into this broadcast every time that we do it. So shout out to those of you who may be tuning into this for the first time. So let's keep bouncing around some more, guys. We still got a couple more introductions, and then we're going to just get into some basic free flow conversation. So we do have Bianca and Ashley. If either of you guys wanted to say anything, please feel free. And if not, that is totally cool.
Hey, I could go ahead
Ashley
and
wants
speak.
to. Okay, cool. Yes, Ashley, by all means, we'll pass the talking stick over to you, and welcome. And what brings you to Dream Class once again?
Hi, everybody. My name's Ashley Munoz. I'm here in Carlsbad, New Mexico. And if you hear any screaming going on in the background, it's either my sister or the kids. I've been a part of the paradigm shift for quite some time now, and I've just recently started doing the dream class and the global meditations and everything else that Brendan does because he's so awesome. And I think it's been helping me a lot just with myself and getting to know myself and meeting all you wonderful people. And I'm sure you can hear my kid next to me. And I'm just here to learn with everybody else and share, and yeah. I'll go ahead and let somebody else go because this little guy obviously wants something.
All right. Thanks, Ashley.
Oh, you're welcome.
Awesome. And you know, again, there's a whole topic there, the topic of like children remembering dreams. I have had some good conversations with some friends, and they're like conscious in their own way, and they have young children, and they've like talked about their children talking about their dreams. It's like some crazy far out there stuff, because again, it gets into this idea, which is so interesting, that the soul is much older than the physical body. So it's logical that a young child would be having dreams that don't necessarily correlate to their age. Like a young child could be having dreams as a spirit, as a soul, that are equally, if not more, quote unquote, advanced as our dreams that we have as adults. So that's why you can like have a young child having a dream and waking up and be like, mommy, like I was like back in the fields in China, and like I was, you know, and it's almost like a past life, like dream recall sort of thing, which is really interesting. So again, just kind of planting those seeds for future topics that we can kind of bounce around. And let's just keep going through the introductions, which we just have a couple more of. So we still have Bianca, and we do have a new player, Starseed. And if either of you guys wants to unmute yourself and do a brief introduction, please feel free to do so. And we'll just give a second for Bianca. So Bianca, go ahead. We'll pass the talking stick over to you. Welcome, and what brings you to Dream Class?
Just curiosity and wanting to join and do something new. Speak to new people, listen to new stories. My name is Bianca Macias. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for welcoming me. I have pretty interesting dreams. Well, ones that I can remember and write down, and I've learned that writing them down, it is a major key player in the whole wanting to understand your dreams, because it is, well, when you analyze your dreams, each symbol represents a feeling or a mood or something that happens, or it's a memory. And when you start writing them down and you start looking closely at the details of each of your dreams, and as you write them down, you'll start catching the patterns and you'll start catching what each one really means, and you'll be able to decode and find out what your own dreams mean, because the only person that really is good at decoding your own dreams is just yourself. I mean, other people can give you ideas and tips and how to do it, but it can really get you introduced to your own self and introduced to your own inner feelings, your own inner being. My dreams are pretty pretty erratic. They go from gentle, loving, caring dreams to just the most insane dreams where I'm stuck in war, or where I'm thrown into somebody else's body and I'm shooting and killing everybody instead of them. And also going back to childhood, I end up having dreams back in childhood where I would be pretending that I was some kind of mythical creature or some kind of mythical being. But in my dream, it felt so freaking real. Oh man, there's just so much to say on the dreams. And I'm actually kind of nervous. I don't even know what else to say.
Well, that's perfect, Bianca. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
A lot of different stuff I could say on the dream. So, but yeah, thank you for welcoming me. And this is awesome. I love this.
cool.
I love all the hangouts you guys do too.
You guys are awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. Everybody's awesome. Everybody's awesome. Everybody's having fun when they're part of the dream. Everything is awesome when we're living in the dream. You guys know that song, right? I just made it up, kind of. So again, guys, let's keep bouncing around some more. And again, shout out to everyone tuning into this. Thanks again, Bianca. Shout out to all our participants and those of you in the live chat as well. I just want to read. I'm reading some of the things you guys are talking about in the YouTube. I'm not going to be able to get all of it. I just want to give a shout out because I read this. Not having this username left a comment here saying, I had a hilarious dream about Danny DeVito escaping from evil ninjas. Danny DeVito kept spouting profanities and the ninjas turned into ceramic figurines when he got away because of karma. Interesting. So that's kind of cool. Again, so it's really interesting when we start observing like how even our dreams begin to get like filled up with the things that we absorb through our eyes and through our experiences. You know, it's an interesting thing. Like when you think about that, the idea that your dreams become populated with whatever it is that you're absorbing during the day. And so in that sense, you could be doing that intentionally. So like that's something where if I'm going to go see a cool movie, I'm almost going to go watch it to like download inspiration that I can use for my dream. Or, you know, maybe I'll like watch an anime because I'll be like, sweet, like I want to be able to like download this into my consciousness so that it can show up in a dream. And then I'll be like having dreams of like riding light bikes, like out of Akira or something like that. And then like, you know, like Tetsuo like goes all like morphic blob type creature and everyone's like shooting like psychic beams at each other and stuff like that. You know, anything can happen when you're, you know, talking about dreams and stuff. So let's keep bouncing around. And again, huge shout out to everyone for being part of this. Much love. And I think we only have one more introduction with the people who currently joined, but if people do want to join, please feel free to do so. The links are in the YouTube info. And we do have another player, Starseed. So Starseed, if you would like to introduce yourself, please feel free to unmute your microphone and we'll pass the talking stick over to you. So welcome, Starseed.
Cool. Thank you, brother. Yeah, it's great to be here with you guys. Definitely already really digging what you guys have to say, really resonating with a lot of it. I guess I'll introduce myself. My name is Dane. Let's see, first time I saw or heard about you, Brendan, was when you did that video with Bridget a little while ago. And yeah, I really resonated with that. It was really cool. So let's see, as I probably mentioned before, like my roommate is Gabe Salmon. I know that you're pretty heavily involved with him in like Zylok Universe. So live with those cats. They're awesome. We have a lot of fun together. But I guess like to share some of my experiences, I do find that, yeah, definitely like what I'm paying attention to during my waking state, my waking reality, will bleed over into my dream state, and like, of course, actions that I take throughout the day, my attention, all that kind of stuff seems to once again be reflected in my dreams, and vice versa. You know, like what I pay attention to as far as like what I choose to recall and focus upon that I dreamt about will affect the waking reality. And it's a funny thing where it's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. But there definitely is a strong correlation. It's not, in my experience and from my perspective, just like random happenstance stuff going on. There is deeper underlying messages being communicated. Yeah, so for me, like, I really began to achieve a greater degree of clarity with regard to like what I was recalling and just what I was able to like remember and engage with at a more conscious level when I began to kind of go through like my awakening back around 2012 or so. You know, started eating like cleaner diet, implementing more meditation. I was having like a lot of psychedelic experiences around that time as well, so that definitely played a big role. It's also taking like dream herb supplements and things like that. But yeah, that was around the time that for me I began to remember like my experiences that I was having aboard ships and things like that, and experiences like with ETs and higher dimensional beings, higher dimensional consciousnesses, and just like interfacing with them and remembering that this is something that I had actually experienced my whole life, but just because that wasn't something that was presented to me as normal or even possible by the society that I was raised in, I kind of dismissed a lot of that stuff, or it kind of just got pushed to the background and kept behind a filter or a screen until I guess I was activated, so to speak, or ready to dance with that, whatever that was bringing to the table, and integrate that into my life. So yeah, when I first began to recall, because that's really a big staple component, not the only thing that I experience in Dreamtime, but a big part of the things that I experience in Dreamtime has to do with ETs. And when I first began to recollect that as a pretty common theme throughout my life, I was like, how do I integrate this like into my life? You know, it was pretty confusing at the time. But yeah, now I am definitely finding a balance, or finding that like that's kind of my role in this lifetime, is to assist in integrating consciousness on Earth. And there are, you know, I'm not necessarily alone or special in that regard. There are like a lot of people who experience this stuff on a pretty regular basis. But yeah, I found a way to kind of, once again, just like integrate it into my life, integrate it into my music, as like a huge source of inspiration for instance, the lyrics that I write and just the music that I create. I'm an electronic music producer and performer, multi-instrumentalist. Anyone notice they have more dreams on the 11th of each month? That's interesting, especially 11/11 this month. Anyways, yeah. So I found a way to kind of like balance that with my earthly obligations or what have you, or just being an earth human. Because as you said, you spoke to the notion of the soul being much older than the physical body. I definitely agree with that, and I know that, like, for instance, my soul doesn't originate from Earth. I've had recollections or tuning into, you want to call it past life or parallel life. It's all happening now. So when you look at it from like the bigger picture of source, there's no time. It's all an illusion. So it's all kind of like parallel. But yeah, I've tuned into just the notion that like I'm not from Earth originally. I'm a very like, let's say old soul, whatever. But yeah, so some of the experiences that I've had, like on ships or like visiting other planets and things like that. Like I had an experience recently where I was like on Venus, and it was what I feel to have been like a potential future timeline that I was tuning into, and it was like being terraformed, and they were building kind of various settlements and things like that, which was really interesting. And I had an experience last year where I was at Mount Shasta for the blood moon, the last lunar eclipse, and I was on board a ship, and we were like in a parallel Earth dimension or plane. It was very, very interesting. I was told my clairvoyant that my soul was from Venus. Oh, waiting for this time in history to come here. Hey, feel you. But yeah, it was like really interesting. It was on Earth, right? But terrain was like very different. It was like very like purple, and it was very strange and very amazing, very interesting. And I saw like a video by this guy Arcturus Ra. I don't know if you guys know Arcturus Ra, but I did a video with him earlier this year when I was in Sedona with my roommate Gabe and our other friend Nash, who I have like a very strong tie with those two. But Ra was talking about one of his experiences when he was at Shasta, and he was basically taken on board a ship or interfacing with a particular group of extraterrestrials, and he was basically pulled into this parallel Earth dimension. And when he was describing it, what he was describing struck such a strong chord with me in terms of what I had experienced when I was there. So it was very, very interesting. Yeah, those are just like a few that I can recall. I've had some really fun ones lately of like flying around and stuff like that. And I find that, yeah, once again, when I'm able to just like pay more attention to my dreams, and like Brendan was talking about, like writing them down, doing reality checks and things like that, like counting my fingers, pulling on them because they'll be stretchy sometimes in dreams, or like looking down. For instance, I have a bracelet that I carry or that I wear, like looking at it and reading it and like looking away and then like looking back at it and like trying to change the lettering or seeing like if it's shifted or anything like that, or like looking at the clock and if it looks funky, then like maybe I'm dreaming, you know, stuff like that helps a lot. But yeah, when I'm able to do that, then I'm able to achieve lucidity for maybe longer periods of time in my dreams. So it's definitely good to, yeah, just like adopt vigilance and adopt good practices with regard to, yeah, just like building a healthier relationship with the dream life. So yeah, hope I didn't talk your ears off. But,
that's awesome, man. That's really exciting. It's not, I mean, again, we do get a good variety of people who are here, but one of the ones that are less common than normal are people who are common or who have had and are familiar with having like experiences like with ETs and other planets and like starseed connections and stuff like that. So it's good to be able to have you here as like a representative of you know, almost like a group of humans who are having these experiences. And I think that's kind of the thing, is that, you know, we're given the dreams that are kind of like right for our soul at this place in time. And for some people, again, dreams can be like this very open door. And for some people, like they're like already like at a certain level where they're just like, yeah, okay, I'm having dreams and I'm like meeting aliens and I'm going to other planets and I'm like traveling through dimensions and I'm going through portals and stargates and wormholes, and it becomes like eventually what or at least what I was going to say, Dane, is that it sounds like you're very grounded about these experiences, whereas I think for a lot of people, even if they're having them for the first time, it can be very easy to just kind of be like taken aback by them or almost like let them kind of become like this ego fuel in a way. So yeah, like I'd be interested in exploring a little bit more about the topic of like experiencing contact with ETs within dreams, because that is something that we've talked about before.
And so I'll kind of preface this just to open this conversation up to anyone about what are some of the practical things that dreams can do for us. You know, like what are some of the practical purposes that dreams can serve us? What are some of the things that they can do for our spirit? So, I mean, we've talked about like the idea of like, you know, they're showing us things that we need to heal, but in the same way, they can be like showing us past lives. They can be showing us future. They can be showing us premonitions. They can be connecting us with aliens and things like that. So I kind of just wanted to open to open that up, and maybe I'll just pass it to Dane just so we could go into the ET thing a little bit more and just springboard that into general discussion. But yeah, like Dane, for yourself and for other people, like one thing that I just want to mention is the aspect of just discernment. For you, is discernment like something that is like within your practice? Like if you know, if I were to say, for example, if I were to wake up and I had a dream of like an alien, I would want to use discernment to be like, okay, like, am I going to categorize that as like contact, or am I going to categorize that as like watching an alien movie and just having a dream about aliens sort of thing? Because it seems that, again, like that's what happens within dreams. There's like sometimes where we're kind of like getting like these like mirages or kind of like the shadows of elements within our dreams, and we'll see an alien, but it may not really be an alien. And then sometimes it's possible, again, is it possible, that's the conversation here, for us to like literally have contact with like an entity and an intelligence that is quote unquote like alien to us within our dreams. And I guess the way to know like which one's which is by like how it feels is really kind of like the way to sort of be able to govern. And again, to just like how, so yeah, passing it over to you, like for your own process, were there points when you were doubting these experiences? How do you bring discernment into your experiences of meeting ETs, and what were those experiences like that for you helped like allow them to become what you recognize them as today, and you know, how do they serve you?
Right. Yeah, well, once again, just like kind of going back to when my awakening began, when I was beginning to have more transparent recall of these experiences, I didn't know necessarily how it fit within my current framework of reality that, once again, had been presented to me growing up. I didn't know like how to integrate those experiences. And so, to be honest, I was like pretty freaked out when it first started happening, or it had been happening my whole life, but when I first began to consciously register that this was going on, and I kind of like almost wanted to ignore it, you know, just like pretend like it wasn't happening because that would be like easy or whatever. But yeah, like discernment definitely came into play, and I did check with myself, like, for one, am I going crazy? Okay, I'm not crazy. This is actually happening too. Okay, like, what do I do with this? Like, why is this happening? Like, how does this fit within my life's trajectory? And whether or not, when we do have experiences that have to do with ETs, like whether that's a projection of our consciousness or a figment of our imagination or whatever, or versus this experience is actually happening, I'm actually interfacing with another being who is communicating things to me. And for me, like when I am having an experience that has to do with like being on a ship or something like that, it's totally different than a dream that, for instance, would be a projection of my own consciousness. Like if I'm within a reality simulation, going through an exercise or something like that on a ship, it's totally different. Or like if I'm doing like a mission or something, I work a lot with my roommate Gabe. So like if we're on the ship together and we're like doing something, it's totally different than my other dreams. It's like much more vivid. I'm much more present. Things are just like very clear. There's a specific like vibration to it. There's a specific feeling to it. which is very, very on point. I'm glad that you used that that term, just like feeling into whether or not, once again, you are actually interfacing with another consciousness, or you're just projecting something. So yeah, the feeling capacity, the intuitive capacity is like super crucial to discerning what's going on. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Very, very important. Just a second, I'm gonna plug my laptop in. But that's pretty much all I have to say for now.
Okay, cool. Awesome, man. Sweet. Yeah, we'll definitely be able to pass it back to Dane a little bit more. But again, you know, like we can open that up to other people in the discussion, because this is a safe place to do so for people who want to talk about experiences that they may have had with quote unquote ETs within the dream space. And just to give like a little bit of an overview, again, kind of trying to piece this together from a way that makes sense for me. We talked about this before in other dream classes, but it seems to be that the dream space is kind of like this common hub, this common like central access point that other aspects of the universe can sort of gain, like can commonly come to. So when we're dreaming, we're not just in our head, we're literally in like a shared collective space. And sometimes when we're dreaming, we are kind of compartmentalized into our own little bubbles. But at the same time, we're also potentially almost in like a common lobby, almost like in a video game server, and then other people can join our server. And then sometimes like consciousness, the universe itself will like be like, oh, okay, like Brendan's logged in. Hold on, let me like log in too, and I'm going to join his server and connect with him and send him a message. And then oftentimes is that like these are like other parts of consciousness that are already more aware of that multidimensional reality. Like we, again, we here as humans, we're waking up to this idea. Like we're kind of waking up to the idea that like this reality is not just this physical experience, and the soft wake up process is happening through our dreams. So it's a really worthwhile thing to note of like the different experiences we are having with other forms of intelligent entities within dreams. So I just want to be able to like invite anybody else, because like even Kiway's asking, has anyone had experiences with ET in their dreams? Because and I'll just say this real quick, and I'll pass it to Jeremy, because like sometimes there are people who will even talk about like how after a quote unquote experience or like an abduction experience, that like the memories can almost feel like a dream, or there can be like false memories replaced. So I mean, we're kind of getting into this like category here of like ET alien abductions, but as you start exploring this, you start realizing that like all of these phenomena overlap. And the dream space is like a great place to observe like how they overlap. So Jeremy, let's pass it over to you, and anything else that you want to say at this point in the discussion, feel free.
Yeah, just continuing with the flow here. You guys were asking about anyone who had an experience with an extraterrestrial in the dream realm, and I had one just a few weeks ago, and it was, I think, right around the time as the last dream class that I attended. And I have a reoccurring dream about UFOs, about having UFO sightings. And it's always kind of in the same place, and the UFOs are always kind of the same. And it always feels like something that happened to me when I was younger that I'm remembering. But it always plays out a little bit differently when the extraterrestrials. First, the sighting is always the same. There's usually a large metallic bridge bridging between two cities. Like maybe like New Jersey and New York or something like that, and I'm on some grass or some greens, and I'm looking up and I see the ships over top of the bridge, and sometimes the dream progresses into a dystopian sort of thing where they're invading and there's some sort of plot line there, but the one that I had just recently, it really did have that feel like of something that was completely beyond me, and that was sentient, and it's always a female presence, this thing, and it's always a little bit scary too when it does come down, and this one I think this one actually convinced me that there is something there that's trying to communicate with me, and because it felt like it felt so much like that it had actually happened when I woke up. And this one wasn't it wasn't. It had a fearful component to it because I always know where this dream goes once it gets to a certain point. That there's usually some sort of conflict. But this one involved the beings coming down and entering into the house that we were running to escape into, and just sort of materializing inside the house already. And it was like a female snail, but a large like snail kind of thing, and it was very scary looking. And I remember like this time that it wanted me to touch it so that I didn't have to, for some reason, if I touched it, it wouldn't have to attack me. Because kind of like getting past my fear of it, which could get into like the psychological interpretation of this. I mean, obviously dreams are a muddy concept. That's one thing I always usually come back from any of these paradigm shift meetings with, is the muddy ground between where does psychology end and where does the super reality begin, you know, and how interconnected they are. So I oftentimes think about that, but this one actually did feel like it was connecting with the super reality, transcending just the psychological incrustations of layers or something inside my head, that I had actually contacted something. And I think I'll leave the rest of the details out. I don't think that, yeah, there's some more stuff that happened after I touched it, but I'll just leave those out. But it was definitely a really interesting dream. And that actually happened like just like 2 weeks ago. And I think it was either before or after one of the dream classes that I had gone to. So I have had a recent experience with that, and it was very vivid, and it really did, like Starseed said, it was like, I guess one thing I could relate to when you know that it's real is like the difference between two different politicians. One you know is lying, and one you know is telling the truth, I guess, kind of thing. I don't know. It's like it feels different. I don't. It just feels different, you know, when you know that someone is operating on a clean conscience. Even if that, I think sometimes those people might be telling the truth, but they're deluded. So they think they're telling the truth. They are telling the truth, but they don't know what they're talking about. So that's I think a weird paradox with politics. But that's just kind of an example. If people need another example of like that feeling you get from this, and this definitely had that feeling of being very real. And I woke up feeling like I had been contacted by something, but it was very it's something that I could have forgotten about if it wasn't important to me. Like I've had a lot of experience collecting other people's UFO stories and different experiences I had. And some people do question whether they're real, and other people I don't. But in some people's experiences are truly forgettable, like it was just some moving lights in the sky, and other people it's like something where it's like UFOs like floating over their house, terrifying them, you know, like orbs of light knocking on their window or something like this. So, you know, some are more forgettable than others. And I say this one was in that zone where if it wanted it to pass away under my subconscious, I could have let it. But it did leave me with a certain feeling of being very beyond my own feedback loops in my mind. So
thanks for sharing that, Jeremy. And I think that does bring up a very interesting point of just like it's really interesting in dreams, and it just kind of got me thinking again. You know, it seems that like dreams that we're having, they're complex. They're not just us. There's kind of like a bigger aspect of the universe that is also having some sort of role to play within our dreams. Sometimes our dreams literally are very much just like our own bubble. But again, sometimes like other parts of the universe are like putting their fingers in our dream and are stirring the pot, or are like directing some of the scenes or something like that. And I'm just to give like a little bit of an analogy. It's almost as if there's parts of the universe that are, again, as consciousness trying to help it wake itself up. So it's almost like there's like parts of the universe that are almost like going like fishing, and their objective is to like help wake us up. And so, you know, they'll like imagine this scene. So like some person is going to sleep. Some higher dimensional intelligent consciousness is like, all right, like, okay, 7 p.m. tonight, I got some guy on Earth, and I'm going to try waking him up. Let's see, what dream can I use? Scroll through here. Let's go with the old
abduction in the field scenario, and yeah, let's pick that one. And then it's just like, let's run this program. You know, it's literally kind of like just like this higher dimensional, like very like technological,
like interdimensional Uber driving or something like that. You know, it's
maybe,
like you don't even know it's like what the car is going to look like or anything, and this person's like, whoa, what's this? Like, I ordered this. Some part of me ordered this.
Some part of me ordered this. So again, yeah, it's almost as if like,
tentacles. My Uber driver has tentacles. Oh my god, not this one again.
So maybe even if we don't consciously order it, maybe there's like a higher part of the universe that's almost like dictating things from a very managerial level, and it'll be like, okay, like human 692, like they're ready for a dream, like okay, and then like Joe from like the dreams department, go send them a dream, and then like Joe's job will be to like try to leave a dream that will be a mix of both impressionable without being forgettable. And so, you know, they'll be like, it's kind of like this like fine balance where it's just like, you know, they'll have that dream, and then the person will be in that experience, and it'll be like really something, and like maybe the moon will turn into a portal, and they'll hear the voice of the universe speak to them and tell them that they're special or something. And then they kind of like wake up, and then they're just kind of like, whoa, like that was crazy. And then later by the day, they like accidentally forget it. And then, you know, like Joe up in the dreams department, he's just like, damn it, you know, like I tried really hard. Like I was hoping he would remember that. Like, oh, I guess I'm going to have to try again next week, you know? So again, this doesn't make sense. Maybe to a degree it actually does, just by kind of putting those ideas out there. When we start opening up to the concepts that like we are not alone in this, and our dreams are kind of, again, this shared space where other aspects of consciousness are coming in. And sometimes, again, sometimes they appear as ETs, sometimes they appear as other entities, sometimes they appear as mantis beings, sometimes they appear as gnomes. It's very, very interesting to observe the different entities that we can engage with within our dreams, especially when you get into the idea that who people are portraying themselves in dreams isn't necessarily always who they are. And so getting further down the road, like this gets into the idea of like, if you're lucid in a dream and some guy comes to you who's like, looks like some sort of wizard, it's not a bad idea to be like, prove you're a wizard, or like, how do I know you're a wizard or something? And then it turns out that it's actually a gray disguising itself as Gandalf because it knew you would recognize it. And there was like something like slightly off about it that you picked up on. And then the gray's like, oh no, abort. And then it like runs away or something like that. But then maybe
you'll feel the difference. You'll feel the difference, you know, and be like,
yeah,
this wizard sounds like Mario.
That's it crosses over. Like, yeah.
Sounds like Super Mario, but it's a wizard.
Yeah, something's not right here. Like somebody's
Super Mario. He's hiding as a wizard or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah,
dude, that's actually so cool that you see that. Because like, what?
Devin, go ahead. Pass over to you. I just want to go do your introduction. I was about to pass it to you anyway. Okay. So go talk about anything.
Been here for a little bit, but it's just like what you were just about, like what you were just saying about the whole like, it's kind of like a secretary. Like I almost had this connection with ayahuasca. And I actually saw her as a secretary in my dream. Because one of the questions I asked her was like, so many people are connected to you, and you're your own being, right? You're a spirit yourself. How do you keep track of all these people? And like, she's literally trying to like raise the consciousness of like all human beings by doing exactly what you just said. Like, Devin, you know, and the awesome thing about ayahuasca is she doesn't show you more than what you can actually handle. And right, so she's gonna give you like a dream or like a vision that's like that you can process consciously, but like just at the tip, so that you actually can like, you know, you take one bite at a time. You don't try and digest the whole burger. And one of the crazy, actually, I had an astral projection with her 2 days ago. She said, we're gonna practice grounding. I'm like, yeah, I love grounding, you know, really nervous person. But then what happens after astral projection? So I'm actually like quite used to it now. It's like, it's awesome. I pop out of my body and I'm all light and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, where are we going? Like, we're going to the earth. We're going to the center of the earth. So I'm like, cool, it's going to be hot down there or something, right? And, you know, the positive and negative connections of the earth is, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's like Agartha, like the city within, like the city inside the earth with like a sun and everything. I'm projecting, I'm going down, and I feel myself getting heavier and heavier until I get to this point where I feel another pop. But instead of becoming really light, I'm like super sluggish and like super slow. Everything is like super heavy. So I'm guessing that I'm really down deep. I'm like, why am I down this deep? And then all of a sudden there's like a second pop and I become light again. And I see this temple, and I see a sunlight, and I'm like, holy shit, like, is this the realm of Agartha? Like, am I inside the city within the earth? And I get super excited, right, that I wake up. So my body pops twice again. I fly back, slam into my body. I wake up, rush to the bathroom, and puke because of like how intense just like I was projected. Like I'm literally like chalking up to like, I don't know, I didn't even eat much the day before, but I'm like puking like crazy into my toilet. But I'm also in like tears because I'm like, oh my God, that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And it was crazy. And I'm sure she, like, you know, ayahuasca being like the spirit of the earth, she wanted me to show that. She wanted to show me that, but just barely enough so that I become aware of it, so that I can, you know, like the more I'm aware of it, the more I can practice, you know, being able to sustain myself there. But like, it was such a huge surprise, and you know, I wake up and I'm puking and stuff. But that's kind of my, I didn't meet anyone there. I just saw like a quick vision, but like I knew it's like I felt it. I felt that it was real. Like it's, you know, it wasn't a projection of my own mind, but I actually physically feel like I almost manifested there. But yeah, so that's just my experience with it.
Dude, that's crazy, man. That's awesome. Devin, thank you so much for sharing that. Again, you know, like the intention of this broadcast is to help like document some of the crazy experiences that we're having from week to week. And that is definitely a very wild experience. But again, like something that now that like somebody's had that experience, and not to say other people haven't, like that's like worth taking note of. It's like, okay, like it is possible to teleport to Agartha within our dreams. Check, you know, like if that's literally what we're thinking about happened. And again, you know, within dreams, there's kind of two, at least if we're categorizing it very simply, 2 degrees of it. One, where you're like wearing a virtual reality helmet and you're kind of like in like this virtual reality mode of the dream, and it's kind of just like keeping you entertained. And then there's another mode where you like take off the helmet and you literally see the dream space around you. And that can also be like an actual place or like an actual location within the astral realms, within the physical realms, within the multidimensional realms. And in this case, like Agartha, like the hollow earth, if for those of you who aren't familiar, it's like a, you know, a place theoretically within the earth that is also kind of like also quasi-dimensional and can be accessed through like portals, and can also be like accessed like through the inner portal. And I'll just say this, because again, I would just want to pass it around, and maybe Dane has anything he wants to jump in on, or anybody else who wants to talk about experiences going to Agartha, hollow earth and stuff. But again, you know, how is this possible? How is this happening? One element that we just want to keep in mind is the idea that like within our dreams, it's not like we're just like going to sleep and magic happens. Part of the magic that happens is like also like involving like the chemical process of our dream process, which does involve like DMT. And so like, you know, we've talked about that here and there, and people always make that connection, the connection between like DMT and dreams and everything like that. But at the very simplest way of explaining it, again, like DMT is like a very potent psychedelic experience. And if you extract it from plants, it's found all throughout nature, and it can be smoked. And it's the most psychedelic experience that you can have, like relative to an individual's like potential. And yet it is a chemical that's released in our brain every night when we sleep, and is also released like when we were born and when we were dying. So the reason why I'm saying this is to connect the dots, that it seems that the purpose of DMT is like literally to like open up our access to the interdimensional portals that are inside of us. Literally, you can think of like the third eye and the crown are actually portals. So like if we're thinking about traveling through the universe, we don't necessarily have to like go out there. We literally can go inwards, and through there it like gives us like a hyperlink to anywhere within the universe. So when we're asleep, like we're tripping balls by default. Yet sometimes when we're asleep, we can like activate like a deeper level of that ball trippingness, and in the process of doing that, it can like literally like, you know, with the like just like a almost like a toggle of a switch, it can like blast us into another realm. It can send us into another realm. Sometimes it can be like very like abrupt, and sometimes it can be smooth and everything, but it does seem that that's like what is happening. Again, every single night when we're dreaming, like we are literally having a very potent psychedelic experience. And simply by being aware of this is like opening up to the potential that it's like, okay, you're going to sleep. No, you're not just going to sleep. You're opening up the potential to like literally travel wherever you want. Because I mean, let's look at the potential of dreams. What happens if you were to go to dream
fully lucid every night? What happens if you were to go to sleep and literally had full control? You're just like, okay, I want to go to Gartha, I want to go to Venus, I want to go to the future, I want to go to the past. Like literally, like it seems as if the dream space is like so freaking potential, so much ripeness and potential that that's why we aren't allowed to access it all at once. It is like giving a child a bazooka. And that's why like the universe is just like easy, like careful. We're going to slowly introduce this to you as you get older. And we're only going to show you what you're mature or ready enough to be able to like handle from that perspective. So yeah, let's just keep opening up the Devin, go ahead, jump right back in.
Yeah, just like with that as well, it's just kind of like, I feel like the pineal gland is that physical manifestation of those two like positive and negative points that create a connection. I feel like the pineal gland is that physical manifestation that's actually like in the very center of our heads, right? So that's what I truly believe now. And like, yeah, with just like taking baby steps with like becoming more conscious, because like, you know, physical manifestation, someone wins the lottery, right? On a spiritual level, technically all that money is power, right? That money is power, but once it's given to them in such an abrupt form, like such an immense form, they become irresponsible with it. So it's kind of leveling off like consciousness with your responsibility. It's like who you are actually as a person has a lot to do with how conscious the universe will allow you to become. Just like because there is, you know, I think one of the guys in the last broadcast was saying like there's been like literally spiritual warlords who have tried to like conquer galaxies just because they've attained some form of really potent spiritual energy, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and just like related to actually I forget what I was going to say. Let's keep passing it around. So anybody else who wants to jump in at this point, it was something about the pineal gland that I was going to say in particular. What was I going to say? Something. It's okay. It'll come back. So if anybody else wants to jump in at this point, maybe Dane, did you want to jump in on anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Thoughts on Devin's Agartha experience or anything?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. That made me recall a dream that I had like 2 nights ago, where I was like within a simulation. Or what I feel to have been a simulation, but I was like traveling through inner space. But it was within the context of understanding that in the same way that we receive energy from the central sun through like the central sun of our Milky Way galaxy through the sun, that energy is relayed to Earth, and then that energy from Earth, from the central sun of the Earth, as you were talking about in Agartha, is relayed to us. In that way, you can travel backwards through that in order to access like more macroscopic, macrocosmic, longer distance kind of like locations. If you have specific locations in mind, you can travel very vast distances by going through like the reverse of that process. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like hard to like kind of articulate I guess what I mean, but I was traveling through inner space, and I was like, basically the briefing of the mission was something like I had to like deactivate a constellation, which I interpreted later on when I woke up as like kind of deactivating a Stargate or something, like preventing access. There's one specific constellation that I had to deactivate, and it was very yeah, totally. It was very interesting with regard to what you were talking about kind of penetrating these specific layers of the Earth, because I experienced something very similar when I was like, basically all the constellations were like within this sphere, and I was traveling deeper and deeper and deeper into this sphere. And it was really interesting because at first I penetrated the membrane of it because I was outside of it, and I was just pure consciousness. I didn't necessarily have a body, but I like penetrated the sphere. Then all the constellations were nested inside. I had to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and it was the deepest and the farthest constellation tucked within the sphere. And yeah, and then I deactivated and I came out. But it was interesting because I found it to be representative once again of just like the notion that the universe is within us and we can travel just simply by going within, you know. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's really, really interesting stuff.
Yeah, and just going on that, I remembered what I was going to say, and maybe there's a reason why I forgot, but it links in with everything and what we're talking about now. And Dane, thanks again. Really appreciate your contribution.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure, man.
Sweet, man. And shout outs to Zylock and Gabe if they're nearby. Dude,
they were part of that dream, which is really funny because his name is Universe, right? And my first album was called Universe. My first album was Starseed, like spelled the same way, Y-O. And he said that in the dream. He was like, Universe, like the universe is within you. It's very funny.
Sweet, man.
But yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say, like, are they around or anything? Is Zylock?
Yeah, they're okay. So they've been shooting.
Pop in. You can. It's not the first time he's been on a broadcast. So.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't think that our friend is necessarily ready to pop in right now, but they're shooting another episode of Zylock on Earth as we speak.
Sweet. That's awesome, man. Sweet. Okay, so shout out to Gabe Solomon and Zylock, some of our conscious co-creators here through Paradigm Shift Central. And Zylock's, like, if you've seen him before, like, he's literally an alien. And maybe we'll see him in this broadcast, but otherwise, shout out to them. So what I was going to say, one thing when we were talking about the pineal gland and the relevance of that, piecing together some of the dots and stuff, one thing that actually came up in the comments was the idea of the Bifrost. And maybe some of you already know what the Bifrost is, but the Bifrost is something that, again, maybe you heard about in the like Marvel movie about Thor, because it shows up within the like the Norse mythology. But the Bifrost is also known as the Rainbow Bridge, and the Bifrost is kind of like this metaphor for traveling through dimensions. And the Rainbow Bridge is kind of like this term that we use when often talking outside of Norse mythology about the process of like someone passing on. Sometimes you'll hear this commonly with like pets and animals. They'll say like, you know, like we're taking them across the Rainbow Bridge, we're walking them across the Rainbow Bridge. And so the Rainbow Bridge, again, is from my best guess, logically, is like pointing to this hyperdimensional Stargate portal that is like our pineal gland. And again, like when we die, we're literally crossing over the Rainbow Bridge, which is in itself almost like a metaphor for like the potent psychedelic experience that would happen at death, which would be like very rainbow-esque with like multiple colors and sacred geometry and dimensions that we're flying through. And again, like that same experiences is what can be experienced when like working with DMT, like while alive and conscious. And so every night when we die, every night when we dream, we die, kind of, so to speak. Dying is just a transition process. It's just like moving from one place to another. But the process of like just taking note of the Bifrost, again, which is the Norse mythology known as the Rainbow Bridge. And in that mythology, it relates to this idea of like traveling through dimensions across the Rainbow Bridge. And so the fact that the Norse even had a reference to this interdimensional travel thing is just something to take note of. And we can always go back to explain that a little bit later. But yeah, Bifrost, Rainbow Bridge, pineal gland, and every night we're going through portals. Yeah, keep that in mind. Dave, you got your microphone open. We can pass over to you.
Yeah, it's the Dakota Indians. One of their the chiefs said that the Rainbow people are going to be the ones that come back and protect the land when the time comes. So I put a video on there of my experience.
Sorry, Dave, not to interrupt, but your microphone's coming in like a little like choppy. It wasn't before. I don't know if you just want to try wiggling it or something. No, now I think you might have unplugged it actually somehow.
Well, it's in the computer, so I hope not.
Okay, no, I guess not. Okay, go ahead though. But if it's choppy, whatever. But that's not a problem.
Just let me know, brother. Just let me know.
Well, keep going for now. That's cool.
I put a video on there that I did when I first had my experience of waking up, and it was one of the very first concepts that came to me. And I posted it over there on the side. So it was like the first video that I had. beard and meditating. And it's about time travel. It's awake, specifically with thoughts, to be able to have a thought of time I spent with my grandmother and go back and, go back there and go, my grandma, we ate the pie together, and now my grandma's dead and she died of cancer, and now my dad's got cancer. So I was watching myself literally travel back there, grab that energy and bring it into my present moment. And it really, it's almost like a dream. It's all really dreams. I'm gonna sit with that for a little bit. Yeah, but I posted the video over there, and check it out, because it's pretty hitting on what you're talking about. The traveling. Thoughts become things. The mind is one of the most powerful things in the world. Totally. It can do anything.
Totally, man. Sweet. That's awesome. And your microphone, we fixed it apparently, so that was perfect. So that came through loud and clear.
I almost want to get rid of the definition of dream, just because of what level it keeps everything at. Like when someone a common person just hears the word dream, they're like, oh, that thing that just happens when you sleep and it's all in your mind, right? It's not. I almost want to redefine that. So it was no, this actual I don't know, I want to call it cloud consciousness or something like that, just to refer to it to, because it's so much more validating and real that way. It's more understood when it's placed beside those definitions, instead of just dream just still carries that kind of it's a far away kind of feel to it, It's I want to redefine that.
But yeah, okay. So what would be your redefinition of both? Okay, because I was thinking, thinking this myself. Okay, so we'll try and break it down to make it easier for you. Try and create a definition for dreaming first, and then create a definition for dreams. So how would you define dreaming? If you could try and think about that for a second, and I'll give it a shot too.
I don't know, dreaming to me, I carry the definition towards me. It's a reflection of just a reflection of your emotions. It's just something that when you go to bed naturally happens to you, and it's not much, it's not something that you should take much of. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. But that's not what actual dreaming is to me. It's just what I feel the common societal definition to it is. And it's I feel like there'd be a more gravity, more gravitation to it if it's shown for what it truly is, and it's this reflection to your true being. And I feel if I'm just talking to someone and I bring up dreams, and they're yeah, cool, yeah, dreams. Everyone happens to everyone. It's they don't get the actual message of what's actually happening. So it's I don't know what word I use to replace it, but it's it's just me wanting to kind of reach out and go deep with things. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. It's kind of my frustration with just I guess people not really understanding the full extent of their own potential, and it's just me running into my own blocks and other people's blocks, just kind of that yearning to connect in that really conscious deep way. But I just can't reach a person. I can't reach a common person calling it a dream almost. I'll have to school them up. But it's I feel there's some way that I could just show them without actually having to teach them by the book or something like that. I don't know. I might be dreaming. There you go.
We're all dreaming, man. Yeah, and dude, okay, so I've thought about this before, and inviting anybody else who wants to take a crack at this, and also shout out to Eddie. Eddie joined the hangout, and we'll get him to say hello in the next minute. And with dreaming, one way that I've simply defined dreaming, and we got some people defining it in the chat as well, which is good. Dreaming is very simply put the process of the mind creating. If I could just put it into a very few simple words. So dreaming is the process of the mind creating. And then so obviously if I'm using that way to define it, that kind of relates to this idea that
that is something that we are always doing. If that's the case, which is exactly my point. The point is we are always dreaming. The dream, and therefore the dreams are like what we refer to as like the places where we observe the act of the mind creating. So dreams are the place, dreaming is the action, yet dreaming as an action is kind of like what creates the place, so to speak. So I mean, yeah, like it's almost to think that like, yeah, like dreaming came first and then dreams as a word kind of like follows it, relevance to the idea that everything is like being created through the process of dreaming kind of thing. Yeah, and just kind of giving a shout out to people in the chat. I'm just going to read real quick. So people, Quinn said, dreams are simply put dimensional traveling. Maxie says, it's the place within ourselves we aren't even conscious of. Not having this says, reflection of your true being. And Maxie says, exchange of emotional energy is a significant part of the experience of reality. So yeah, again, like, that I feel is like what dreams are really teaching us. They're teaching us that like everything is mind, everything is being created by mind. And as you think, so shall you become. And if you think about things in a dream, you can go there, you can teleport, you can manifest, you can like go to Agartha and stuff like that. But again, it seems to be that there's like varying degrees of abilities within dreams that aren't even like fully accessible to us. It seems like they're almost like hidden within our code, but we don't really have full access to them yet, because if we were to, maybe it would like short circuit our consciousness or something. It would be like too much in a way for our feeble earth-bound minds in a sense. Yet every now and then you do get people who are just like, they'll wake up and they'll just be like, whoa, like I had the craziest dream and my life is like never going to be the same. And sometimes that is the process of what happens from a lucid dream. And again, you know, lucid dream is like when you're in a dream and you know you're dreaming. A lot of people, their like awakening process will happen as a result of them having a lucid dream. You know, like they'll have a lucid dream and to them it's just like, wow, I firsthand experience, I know it in my heart that like I was literally there, I was experiencing that moment, had a present moment as real as this one, and I wasn't in my body, and this shifts my paradigm because I thought my body was the only thing that experiences were really like happening through. So yeah, again, like dreams are just like such an awesome teacher, and talking about them is just helping us really see more of our cosmic place within this hyperdelic reality. So I want to take a moment here to actually be able to pass it over to Eddie. And Eddie is tuning in from Australia. And Eddie, we've gone around the circle, basically basic introductions of who we are, what brings us to Dream Class. And we've been having some really good conversation about like meeting other entities within dreams, like having contact with like aliens, ETs, and other entities within dreams. And like Devin was actually talking about how he like traveled to Agartha within his dream very momentarily, and like he felt that like the mother ayahuasca was guiding him there, and then he like woke up from it and like literally threw up because it was like such like a shock to his system in a sense. So again, just giving you a little recap on some of the things we've been talking about. But Eddie, welcome to Dream Class, and we'll pass the talking stick over to you. Tell us a little bit about what brings us here and anything else that you think people should sort of keep in mind as we're piecing together some of the parts of the puzzle, and whatever you have from your perspective of things. So welcome.
Yeah, sweet. Hi everyone. My name's Eddie. I can't say that I know a lot about dreams. I've never really explored the concept a lot. I choose not to dream. And I do dream, but I don't remember them very well if I do have one. And what I mean when I say I choose not to dream, I smoke the green stuff. And if anyone smokes the green stuff regularly, they'll know that your dreams kind of fade away. They just stop. When you go to sleep, that's it. It's lights out. And when you wake up, lights come back on. And there's no dream. There's no vision or psychedelic experience. It's just nothing. You're unconscious. You're out of this, and then when you wake up, you come back. from time to time, as an adult, I run out of the green stuff and have to go a few days or a week here or there chasing it, trying to get back on. And all my dreams start up again. And where I'm at now with my life, I've been a shaman now for probably 6 years, which means I know how to open my third eye. I can project my consciousness out of my body, and I can connect into Earth's higher dimensional reality, and it's completely different to a dream. To me, a dream is more like a virtual simulator, whereas opening your third eye is venturing a different dimension of reality. It seems like opening your third eye is real, and having a dream is a fantasy. It's like a virtual reality. This is my take on it, and I'm very inexperienced in it. And what leads me to believe that is I'm not what you'd call a typical shaman. I'm more like a warrior shaman. I'm not 100% love and light. I'm 50-50, love and light and darkness and chaos, I suppose. I sit right in the middle zone, and it kind of unsettles some people, and others just, I don't know, they don't get it. I keep a lot of this stuff to myself because it's hard to explain. I really don't understand it myself. When I'm out of my body, it's like my consciousness is in genius mode, and when I'm in my body, it's like my consciousness is in
Oh, okay. I think Eddie froze there. That's the common thing. His computer is all the way in Australia, so we'll wait for Eddie to jump back in it. And I did want to like give just like a couple of responses to him, just kind of like what he was saying about like the idea of dreams being a virtual reality. But that was something we hit upon earlier, where it seems that's just like one of the multiple layers within dreams, where like if you're kind of not fully conscious, it is very much that. It's a holographic virtual reality where like it's just kind of you're in your own little bubble, but then you can take off that helmet and then things can like go to another level of the dreams. And even again, you know, he was talking about like but that was an interesting point about the idea that for some people, maybe that's part of the reason as to why cannabis is here, for people who actually do want to intentionally not remember their dreams. It seems that it does serve an interesting purpose there. You know, people are just like, yeah, okay, I don't want to remember my dreams for whatever personal choice they want to make. Cannabis could actually be like one of the like ways that reality built that into its system to be able to help with that process, which I think is interesting. We'll wait for Eddie to jump back in, but in the meantime, we'll keep bouncing around. Dave, did you want to jump in with something? If so, feel free. Let me just double check your microphone. Go ahead. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Good. All right. I think when I was younger, I had so much show up in my life that I mean, that's possibly why I every night before I go to bed. And I could tell you the last one I had, it was pretty wild. I went and stayed in the woods for about 10 days to get addiction off of me. And I remember building them meditation rocks, the stacks. Me and my family walked down. We built about 100 of them things, and no one told me that they'd be falling at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So they ended up leaving, and I stayed down there by myself. I remember the rocks falling, and I woke up real quickly, and the very first thing I thought was Freddy Krueger's leg just bumped into that thing. That had to be Freddy Krueger's leg right there. I know it was, and I started to play with why that came to me. And when I was 8 years old, my sister, she would have her boyfriends over, and that's what she would watch, Freddy and Jason. And she used that as a tool to silence me for like 4 years. And but to imagine this stuff coming back from a rock falling in the creek, like I went back into that. And I mean, it was heavy to walk through at first because I didn't even remember that it happened. And then to actually be able to walk through it and release the stuff, like forgiveness for my sister for doing that. You know, for 2 or 3 years she used that against me to hush me, and I actually started a fire underneath my bed. It was the one where Freddie came up through the bed, and I was going to make sure that he didn't come up through the bed on me. And I started a fire, and my sister said, "You know, why'd you do that?" And I said, "Because I thought Freddie was under the bed." And she goes, "If you tell mom and dad that we watch that, Freddie's going to come get you." And my mom and dad asked me, I didn't know what to say. And that week I was put on Ritalin. So that week I was put on medicine because I wasn't able to speak the truth as I know it, because I had an oppressor in the house with me. Yeah, that's what showed up for me. Pretty wild.
Thanks for sharing, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah.
And again, you know, like there's a whole discussion there, and whether we want to get into it in this class is totally, you know, you guys are more than welcome to. But it's something we've talked about before, but it's the idea of like how even nightmares are still like serving us within our dreams. Like, you know, those dreams that we have where it's just kind of like challenging us and putting a fear in front of us, whether it be like Freddy Krueger or something else, like those dreams can be very powerful teachers in themselves. And I even put up a post about this not too long ago, even just in the way of like how we respond to them when we wake up. Like, will we be like, oh my God, I want to forget about that dream? Or will we be like, let me take a closer look at that dream. Like, let me send like some love to that dream. Like, let me sort of like be aware that that dream is like helping me wake up to like the inner magi that can potentially transform it should it happen again. Because sometimes we'll hear people talk about that. Well, they'll have like recurring nightmares, and that nightmare will keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up. And then suddenly in one of those dreams, they kind of like flip a switch and they're just like, wait a second, like I'm going to change this. And then suddenly like the boogeyman turns into a puppy or something like that. And there's like, oh my God, like it's
like a huge fear lifted off.
Yeah. And then that will carry over into the real experience. And maybe that fear that they were facing in their dream was like a fear of like some sort of presentation that they had to do coming up or something that they were really spooked out about or whatever. So, yeah. Oh man, Dane just left. Okay, so I was hoping to just get a little farewell from him, but nonetheless, huge shout out to Dane, and thanks so much for him for tuning in. And I will say, guys, we're gonna aim to wrap up this broadcast by about 1 a.m. And as we get closer to the end, we'll finish with a short dream tree meditation. And again, that's like the idea of like meeting up in a common shared place within the dream space. And we have the concept of the dream tree, which you see in the preview image for the paradigm shift dream class, which I can show you guys real quick, and I'll show you guys again as we get into that part of the meditation, and whether or not that's something you guys want to talk about now, we can totally do that. But again, like the dream tree as a visual reference, the concept of like literally a tree in a field and the paradigm shift sigil kind of floating above it, and meditating and crystallizing this as an actual common shared space that people can go to within the dreams. So if you become lucid, think of the dream tree, go to it. And there have been people within the Paradigm Shift Central community that have actually talked about getting there and being there within the dreams. I have yet to personally like fully consciously get there myself, but it is like something that simply like having that there as a objective is what I feel is also important to be able to return to that concept. And it's a very, very cool idea that, who knows, planting that seed now and down the road, it could be like a more common thing that as we kind of become more consciously active, it could be a regular thing where it's just like, okay, we're going to sleep, like let's go to the dream tree. And it won't even be like a roll the dice. It will actually be something much more oriented relative to our intention. So let's keep bouncing the topics around though. Literally letting anybody else kind of jump in. What would you guys like to talk about with the remaining 40 minutes that we have left in the class? Anybody got any questions? Kat, or sorry, Devin or Kat. Okay, we'll let Kat go first. Go ahead, Kat. Kat, let me just check your mic. Okay, go. You're good now.
Good?
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can hear me all right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Mine was more of a general question for the group. It's pretty relevant to my current scenario. I want to see if you guys have any experience with your dream content changing due to your current health scenario. Like either the healthier you get, do your dreams change, or when you're sick or when you're fighting off a flu or something, do your dreams change? Because right now, I just recently flew from Toronto to Vancouver, and I got a really unexpected fever within the last couple days. And a lot of that actually is very psychosomatic for me. And I found that within the first night of me going to sleep and getting like the shakes and the chills, I just had some like extremely crazy erratic dreams, and they were just like so consistent and constant, and like there's probably at least like 5 different like dreams within like the whole night's sleep that were just very strange. So I was just kind of like wondering if you guys have ever had any experiences like that, or have noticed the dream content and material changing throughout, whether you've been in like a state of stress, or your health has changed, or you've slept in a different environment or a different house or different like bed or couch or something. I tend to get that sometimes too, whether I'm sleeping in my personal bed or someone else's bed or on a couch. I tend to get like sleep paralysis when I'm on a couch sometimes. So yeah, just about like the environment and your current state. Here's my question.
Awesome question. Yeah, and I'll just I could say some things about that, but just letting anybody else jump in first. What do you guys think? I mean, I think that it is a very real thing. Like having trippy dreams when we have like a fever or a cold is something very interesting. And even for me, I'll just say this. Like if I find myself getting a cold, I try to really shift my paradigm on the idea of, instead of being like, oh no, I'm getting a cold, to, okay, this is what my body needs right now in order to be able to like purge, in order to be able to process. And yet even in that process, I'm like, all right, like this is, I'll anticipate kind of having trippy dreams within that state too. So it's interesting. Yeah. Like how reactive, how responsive, how fragile the dream space is relative to our current physical state. As well. But yeah, what do you guys think in response to what's Kat saying? Just bringing in some general thoughts about like the dreams that we're having and how they're reflecting like our current physical state, whether it be a cold or anything. Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, so I've definitely had fever dreams. Like I've had. I remember when I first moved to London. I gave myself a really good case of food poisoning, cooking potatoes for the first time. It was like leaving my family's house, and I slow cooked some potatoes in a slow cooker, not knowing how to use it. I basically made a big pot of virus or something. I don't know. I just made it. It was like the perfect temperature for bacteria to grow, and I got like really sick. And I remember having some really vivid dreams about, and I remember them being very fiery, and it was like the need for me to assert myself into the dream, and I remember thinking that it had empowered a certain part of my subconscious to be sort of more brazen and more assertive. Because I guess I physically felt the need to like defend myself or something like that, but and on the psychic realm. But even though, because physically I was totally incapable, I was just bedridden, right? So, so I think other people will probably have reports of feverish childhood dreams. I have had feverish dreams when you're sick. I think my theory on that is that when you're sick and incapacitated, when you're down, you need to feel protected, right? You need to find some protection, and so the dream realm becomes that place, right? And so I think this is a lot of times why people who are big dreamers or something like this, or people who are the classic like crazy person. I always think, maybe they're having these visions and stuff like this. Maybe they're delving into the psychic realm, not because psychic visions and dreams and stuff like this are a symptom of craziness, but because they're going there for defense, because they don't have any other defenses, right? So maybe they're feeling so down that they need to sort of find strength in the psychic or the spiritual realm. So, but I think because that correlation has been strongly made in the past, where you see people who are, unwell and also having visions, that they slowly just become associated in culture, or anyone who is talking about visions or spiritual experiences, we feel like, oh, they must be sick, right? But really, I don't think that's the case, because I've met so many people now that are so well and still have these spiritual experiences and these visions. So it's not necessarily that they're positively correlated. Like, I think it's more like when you are either in a state in your life when you are so comfortable and so at peace with everything else that you have the chance to explore that realm. Obviously healthy, hopefully. I find people who are exploring their spirituality and their visions when they are in such states of health. But also you have people who are sick, or distressed in some way, emotionally distressed. And then they don't have anywhere else to go, right, for help internally. So they assert themselves into that visionary realm to try to gain power, to try to gain defense. So I have noticed that my most urgent dreams, my main dreams where I really feel like I'm asserting myself, or that there's a thick plot line. Some dreams have, thick plot lines, and some dreams, I think, they don't, right? They just kind of, it's just ends up being a bunch of people hanging out at the mall or something like that, at the end of it. But the ones that really feel like there's this like life or death struggle, perhaps it's because there is something inside of us that is asserting ourselves into the unspoken hierarchies of the Gaian consciousness or whatever, put ourselves in place on the wheel of fortune. To become more in touch with that life force, so to make up for how we're feeling otherwise, right? So yeah, I think so, and I think there's probably also like a physiological component to it too, when your brain is a few degrees warmer than it should be. And it might all happen simultaneously. This is it's one of these multi-layered things where the brain you naturally will start to go to those states. Or people who are dying, even who have nothing else, like an elderly person, they have no in their physical realm, they're totally at the means of their surroundings, they're caretakers, right? So perhaps they're delving really deeply into those spirit places because they know that they need to rearrange their trade deal with the wheel, with the big wheel in the sky. So that's what I think about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thanks, Jeremy. Devin, we'll pass it over to you. Go ahead, man.
There's one thing that, like, when I first did ayahuasca, and I'm like, okay, cool, this stuff's gonna make me feel great. And I was in Peru, and after the first night I drank it, the day after, I'm literally in my hut and I'm shivering and I'm coughing and I'm still diarrhea and still pooing and shit. And it's like I was really, really sick after my first encounter with ayahuasca. And I'm like, why? Like, I went to the shaman, like, why do I feel so sick? I thought this was supposed to help me feel really good. And he was saying that it's because all your experiences that you had, like, are being stored in your body, are literally being let go through the sickness. So I think it depends, like, were your dreams more, like you said, they're bizarre, were they more vivid than usual, or like more scary, or just really intense than usual?
Yeah, they were definitely like more vivid and intense, and they just had this like very, I don't like put it into words. there was just this like very obscure, like dreams are naturally pretty obscure at times, but like Jeremy said, sometimes they can kind of be like, you know, sort of normal. I'm at the mall with my friends and something strange happens, but they were just like all around obscure, consistently obscure, one after the other. So yeah, if that answers your question, just like really out there and like left you with a feeling when you were waking up like, holy crap, like, where did I just go? Like that was intense. So that's what it was like. Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, like for sickness and like dreams and like the whole kind of like attachment to spirituality, well, this sickness means like your body needs to let go of things. So it could mean like you've made like a sudden jump in consciousness. Like there could be like, you know, like a new chapter starting for you or something like that. And so your body's in need of like letting go of something. But I mean, like that's like when I first did ayahuasca, I was just like the day after I was like tremendously sick. Like I felt like I was gonna die or something like that. But I also saw visions of just kind of like, you know, my next chapter, my next steps. So I mean, that's what I now see sickness as. I'm like, I'm sick a lot less because I go like, it's not just because like why is my throat, you know, like hurt, or why is my throat like, you know, parched or something like that. I don't always look at like the physical symptoms. Like what the shamans have taught me is that like there's, you know, there's energy, there's emotions that have to do with like my throat and like the truth that I need to, you know, speak or whatever. And know if it's my like maybe it's a fever, maybe there's like a new, you know, you're making a new connection to the divine or something like that. Like something, I think something's waking up. And for it to like happen that kind of suddenly, like without you, you know, you didn't do anything, like you didn't eat anything bad or anything before that, right? I don't know, but like for it to happen kind of like suddenly, I've recognized that as, you know, like a sign of awakening, honestly.
Were you, when you did your ayahuasca trip back in Peru, I'm going to assume that you did them at night, like the ceremonies?
Yeah.
Okay, so were you able to sleep at all, or were you just having like these tremors and sickness and all this stuff happening?
The very first time I was just like, it's because like I almost say it as like I was still my old self on that first night, and I was super anxious, and I drank it, and like why I love ayahuasca so much is like she didn't show me. Like she showed me what I could handle at my full potential, and that was to let go of just like literally everything, and that's why I was so sick. And you know, I was kind of like, I was like, oh man, I thought this was supposed to make me feel good, but then a part of myself understood that like, wow, like I really am letting go. Like I then became conscious after the sickness passed, and it's just kind of like a law of nature, right? Like, you know, like a fire burns down a forest, and all these new trees grow anew. Is like that's all sickness is, and it's what the human ego has done to sickness is actually like put like they put band-aids over like medicines and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just I was really sick, and but I after the three ceremonies after that were just complete like learning about my true self. It's like it really let go of all that in one night, and other than that, it's just been a continual process of learning about myself. So yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, I think, again, it's really interesting when we start looking at dreams as psychedelic experiences, as psychedelic ceremony every single night. And again, you know, like what are psychedelic experiences often good for? They're good for like dissolving and letting go of things that no longer serve us. They could be worldviews, they could be fears, they could be, you know, like stories and things like that. So it's an interesting idea to think about how through dreams, especially when we're having those dreams that really stand out to us, whether they be like kind of like shocking or even, you know, like jarring, that is something to think about, something to look at as like the body, like letting go of like something that doesn't serve us anymore. Yeah, it's interesting. The idea of, and also, and again, like the idea that dreams can be very healing as well. Which is another thing to keep in mind. You know, maybe if there is, and this is kind of what Jeremy was talking about, maybe if there's a part of us, say a scenario where someone, they like feel like, you know, really isolated or really alone, and then suddenly they have a dream and they're like reconnected with a long lost loved one, and then suddenly it just like sparks their spirit and it kind of gives them what they need in that moment.
And I guess that's kind of like the point in all this is to like really look at dreams from that perspective of them giving us what we need in that moment. Whether or not it's fully what we ask for, it is what we need. And even if it's less what we want, it's what we need in order to be able to motivate us towards getting like something more. And even if that something more is about teaching us patience as well, before like the bigger, awesome, epic dreams like sort of come our way, and just like really honoring any of the little dreams. But yeah, I think that's a really interesting idea of like the body gets physically sick, we purge, like, you know, we sweat, we have a fever, and it's also purging. It's going through that same process on the etheric planes, on the astral, on the emotional levels of that body as well. Because again, you know, like we store energy in our physical body, but we also carry energy in like the other dimensional aspects of our body, such as the etheric and the emotional and the mental, if you're sort of using that spectrum. So yeah, Kat, is there anything else that you want to say, just or any other questions or anything related to your fever dream experiences and anything at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I would just definitely comment on the fact that for me personally, whatever I'm going through, whether it's like a physical ailment or an emotional thing, they're all so intimately connected, no matter like what I'm going through. So, you know, and like Brendan, like you've witnessed this personally, like when I, you know, broke a toe or sprained an ankle, like emotional stuff will just like come up all of a sudden. And like, I'm the type of person that, you know, as much as I might complain and kind of be bothered by it coming up, I'm going to face it head on. Like, I'm going to have to see it. Like, I want to have that cathartic experience and deal with it. And naturally, whatever's happening in my reality is going to start shifting and molding into the dream space. And so often, you know, if you're going through that, you're already like, oh man, like I'm so overwhelmed because it's happening to me in front of me in my reality. Now it's happening to me in this like simulation, in this like reality at night within my sleep. But it is an experience to be super grateful for, whatever that dream may be, because I do believe that it really provides some footnotes into your soul and understanding like how to grow on a soul level. With this fever experience, I kind of like set up the experience intentionally like weeks before I came out here, and I remember telling myself, like, if there's any trauma I have to experience or any sort of wounds I have to heal, I'm gonna just like tell the universe right now that I'm willing to go through it. And the fever experience that I went through was just like super crazy. Like every time I've ever had a fever, it's usually been followed with a flu that has lasted like 6 or 7 days, and you know, I'd be really sick. But right now I'm okay. Like I have a bit of a headache, which is also another rare thing for me. But it's only been like 2 days, and I feel pretty much, aside from the headache, I feel pretty much like back to myself. So yeah, I had these like really physical symptoms of a sickness, but they were so intimately linked to my emotional body and like past trauma, and to the point where like I was just like convulsing and shaking and sweating and was like super confused about what was happening. But I had like really grounding people that were able to support me through it. So yeah, and naturally the dreams that I was having were mirroring that reality in obscure ways that I needed to see. So yeah, that's my commentary on that.
Awesome. Yeah, and again, really just like honoring the process. I think it's like sometimes sicknesses will do that. They'll teach us like how to kind of surrender into the moment. You know, like we'll just be like, no, I don't want to be sick, and we'll be like, resist, and then the universe will just be like, all right, you can keep like doing that, but you know, this isn't going to change until you surrender. And then it's like in the process of surrendering that like we allow things to move where they need to move, go where they need to go. And it's interesting even that you just mentioned, you know, the common thing of like having a headache. Because I again, you know, even just something like that, what happens when we start looking at headaches as something to do with like our, you know, awakening process, so to speak. It literally, you know, that's the crown, the third eye, like that's where like information's like coming in through and stuff like that. So if we're at a point where, you know, we're kind of leveling up, so to speak, And maybe it's not even something that's happened in the present moment. Maybe it's something that's like coming our way. Maybe that will show up through the symptoms of a headache, in a sense. Because again, it's like, you know, the experiences that exist in the future are kind of like rippling into our present moment. And then, yeah, maybe, again, this is just theoretical, but yeah, like it would make sense that headaches aren't just something completely, you know, outside of the realm of being connected to dreaming and awakening processes. Yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting process. Let's keep bouncing the talking stick around a little bit more, guys. We're going to get close to wrapping this up. Devin, before you head out, if you just wanted to, no, wait, you didn't head out yet. Okay, that was Bianca that headed out. So farewell and thanks to Bianca for joining in, and to a couple other people who were also in and out. But yeah, guys, let's just keep bouncing the talking, passing the talking stick around, and we'll get into our closing meditation as we get close to wrapping this up. Anybody else have any questions or comments for the group?
Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah,
it's actually had to do with like what has been going on with me for like the last maybe like 3 or 4 months. I've just been meeting like, usually I'm like a decently outgoing person, and it's kind of like this has to do with like my social anxiety. And for the last 3 or 4 months, like ayahuasca, her spirit, has just been like, she hasn't been forcing me, but she's been making it really clear that I just need to be alone. And I've just kind of been like going to work. I come home and I literally just like, I go to bed and I just kind of like, I sit with my crystal in my hand, and I'm just like by myself with my emotions. And that's something that I just never see myself do before. Like even before, like I was identified with like the role of being like a man and stuff like that. I'd always have to be like, oh, like expansion, and like toiling and just like really working really hard. But then I just had to like literally like not escape from reality, but like escape from like the illusion I was trying to partake in, and all that had to break down. And I just kind of like was literally just alone. Like I didn't text any of my friends. My friends like, where the hell were you, man? We thought you were dead or something. But literally just like, I just need like minimal contact for like 4 months, and I'm kind of just like, I'm just coming out of it now, and it's kind of like, it's really refreshing, because then I'm not forcing myself to do anything either anymore. At least I'm kind of just kind of like, you know, I have better boundaries. Like, and speaking of that, like as I'm like in bed, I'm like, my sacral is just like on fire. Like I've been, you know, I've had, you know, as a guy, also I was told to like, you know, suppress my emotions and like all these kind of negative kind of these quote unquote negative energies that are actually there to kind of like set a foundation. But it's just, yeah, it's really awesome, because I'm just coming out. I'm just rising above it now. And it's feeling really, really great to kind of have my emotions just be there and not really have any judgments towards them. And like my emotions, like I no longer have to force myself to like go to the gym or anything. It's just like my emotions and like my body wanted to do that for itself. But I was forcing it out of the illusion of I need to look good. And like that was like this unhealthy egoic energy that was like literally breaking my body down. Like my muscles were growing, but like I was literally like killing myself slowly, almost in a way. And now it's just kind of like, oh, like the body just naturally likes to run. Wow, who would have known? It's like we've been hunters for like, you know, years and years. So I'm coming from like the truth of human being now, not my own self-made little, the fairy tale like illusion that I wanted to complete so that I could finally be someone. But it's like, oh, cool. Now it's just like relaxing. But yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man. Anybody else want to jump in with anything? Jeremy, go ahead. Thanks, Devin.
Oh, Devin, I just wanted to like affirm, give you some feedback there. Like, that's awesome, man. You deserve to have the re-entry into your social fabric that is like a noble re-entry, you know, like having that self-worth. And yeah, I just wanted to say that's awesome. Sometimes we have to take those times to just process the energy of whatever we were, our social structure, because there are just energetic emotion, like there's an energetic component to it, just like cooking food, you know. Sometimes we have to just sit and cook in ourselves, you know. And that's awesome that you went through that, and you deserve to have the re-entry into the social fabric of your your own design, or of your own, you know, having and honoring that inner nobility of yourself to you know, that self-worth, right? So I'm glad that you went through that, and I hope that your reentry is you know, as awesome as it can be. So
thanks, man.
Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, guys, just checking in with where things are at right now. We're getting close to wrapping up the end of the broadcast. Before we do that, I just wanted to be able to take a moment here to just be able to go over any practical tips that you guys might want to share with people tuning into this who are interested in developing their relationship with their dream process, whether it be just by remembering or whether it be working towards lucidity and so forth. So let's just go around the circle, and if people just want to have like a simple thing that has either worked for them or an idea that they just want to put out there, and then after that we'll go into our closing dream tree meditation. So one thing that I will mention, and again, this is stuff that's come up in other broadcasts, but I'll just mention it again here, but it's related to the process of like cultivating energy, cultivating sexual energy. So that is something that through my own experience, I have found has made a difference. And what's interesting is that, like, again, so cultivating the sexual energy just means like refraining from ejaculating, refraining from spilling your seed, spilling your cup. And you look at some of like the ancient like esoteric teachings and everything such as that, and they'll say that, you know, if you're looking at astral projecting and like having these transcendental experiences, cultivating the sexual energy is like such a key part of it, because that's kind of like this like spiritual fuel or the spiritual lubricant that can assist in the spirit's process of like going into these states. And you literally, you know, you look at like the seminal fluid, it literally creates life. Like, it's such a powerful thing. It's so charged. And so the idea that like it doesn't just sit in the testes, but it actually, as you cultivate it, can like be moved throughout your entire body, and it can literally like go up the spine and like into like the fluids of the brain itself. So that would just be like one practical tip that I'll put out there for people listening, if they haven't maybe heard that by chance, is to just be aware of their process of like cultivating their own energy and see what difference it makes. If it's something where you're like, you know, like spilling your seed regularly, see what happens after not doing it for a week. And in the same process, also doing like breath exercise, breath meditation, and just like intentionally bringing focus to your dreams. Because it's one thing to just like not masturbate, but it's another thing to like not just not masturbate, but not ejaculate. But it's another thing to like do that while simultaneously intentionally like bringing attention to that energy and like moving it through your body with breath. And that can be a simple thing. It's just kind of like, there's kind of like a different way of breathing, but you can kind of like breathe almost like with like the tightening of the coaxis, kind of like almost like the sphincter, and like you kind of like tighten that. And in the process of doing that, it's almost like you're like pulling like a honey like up from your like root and up and around your spine. And you can kind of do this through a visualization process. For people who are interested, I would look up Mantak Chia. He has a lot of information on this. Mantak Chia, Mantak Chia. So if that's something people are interested in, I would highly recommend it. And yeah, that plus a few other practical tips is definitely going to make a difference in your dream process. And it's funny how many people have like not really been told that before, just the idea of cultivating energy in general and what that relates to, you know, just interacting with this reality at a higher level of, you know, intention and interaction. And let's keep passing around practical tips and so forth. Jeremy, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to take away from what you were just saying there. I just sound hilarious, but I mean, I'm sure it works. I'm sure it works. And I just think it was funny. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot to it. But anyways, I'm just gonna throw in my tip into this, and that's using this supplement. It says 5-HTP. It's so good for dreams. Oh my God! Like I have like the craziest dreams in the world after I take 5-HTP. So I just thought I would throw that out there. And it makes you wake up with a sense of like feeling really balanced too. And basically 5-HTP turns into serotonin. Yeah. I'm not saying it's better than putting semen in your brain, like you were saying, but it's close. It's close. It's almost as good. It deserves the second place. And the other one that I always try to have some sort of herb, like a dream herb, echinacea. It's pretty good. It's echinacea extract, but there's lots of different ones. And I think that having some sort of herbal friend to go to bed with like that just kind of reminds you of your, I don't know, it's just helpful. It's just helpful to have that spirit of that plant, you know, with you or whatnot. And I can't really describe it analytically, but I just know that it's true. That does work. And people have different plant allies for the different dreams and stuff. And I use an echinacea extract before I go to sleep. And I think I was mentioning when we first got on here that I've been having just crazy dreams lately. And but sometimes it is hard to recall them because you're just like, oh, I'll never forget that, you know, every single morning, never forget that dream. You know, how could I possibly forget that dream? And then by the time dream class comes around in the middle of the night, you're like, what was I dreaming about? I don't know. But yeah, so anyways, 5-HTP is amazing for just dreams and balancing out your brain. But taking before sleep, crazy good dreams. But if the ayahuasca guy, I think, Devin, you're saying, I know that there are some complications with taking 5-HTP and ayahuasca at the same time. So I've heard that you're not supposed to do that. So.
Oh, well, I did not know, but yeah, it hasn't really done anything affecting me in any kind of negative way, but yeah. That actually, I ordered, was it, I think Edward from last broadcast was a monatomic gold. I actually ordered some of that. It's still on its way. I'm really excited for that after what you were saying about it. So I'm really looking forward to putting that, getting that regulated in my system as well. But yeah.
Oh, the gold, the monatomic gold. Yeah.
Yeah. Read up about it and it seemed really good. So ordered some, see how it goes. But then my tip would be ceremonizing your bedtime. So like you know, like have a little chant for yourself and actually just kind of like, you know, like I have like my, you know, I try like contact with the spirits and I ask them to teach me what it is I need to learn. Like, what is it that I learned today? Like, if there's any kind of, you know, if I didn't, any gratitude that I missed that I can give. And yeah, just like making a ceremony out of it. Because, you know, when you're going to bed and that DMT is there, it's kind of like you are passing into like different, you're going into different dimensions. So, you know, set the intention and, you know, make it a practice. But yeah, that'd be my tip.
It's a good one. Reminds me of what we were talking about earlier, entity contact and dreams. I'm just kind of coming around to believing in that.
I'm super elated for like the day where like humans and spirits kind of like they're like integrated into society. It's like a fully integrated society where, you know, just like it's common. It's, I don't know. It'll be cool. You know, spirits will be like have their part-time job or whatever. I don't know, but it's, you know, like the humans and spirits kind of like we were not mingled, but like we were like integrated a long time ago. You know, people would, you know, go to spirits to help, and spirits would go to humans for help as well. Like, you know, there's a really special thing about human love that spirits also love and, you know, would like to receive as well. It's not just kind of like, they're not like above us or anything, but they're with us, and that's they want us to know that and stuff like that, right? So that's I do foresee that day coming, and it's like it's bound to happen, but it's, you know, just partaking in, like, it's just an honor to kind of partake in that process of doing the reintegration of, you know, spirits and humans. There's a lot of things that they can help us with, like tons of things, and literally all you have to do is ask. Like, you just need to open-heartedly and like really seriously just ask for help from them, and you know, spirits will answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's fascinating to think about like what consciousness will sort of be like in, say, like 50 years from now. Because think how much even for us personally, how much our own experience and awareness has changed within the last like 5-10 years. yeah, it's definitely, and I feel through our awareness of the dream space, like that is like where we're beginning to open a lot up to a lot of these ideas. Because again, it's not only like experiences that we can have within the dream space, but this is something to talk about for another class, but also experiences that we can drop into just through meditation and such, so it's not like you literally have to go to sleep, but you can like consciously like meditate and go into like a hyperspace and be able to like have like a vivid experience. It's kind of interesting because like I feel like 10 years ago or something, a lot of these experiences weren't necessarily accessible. It's like the keys hadn't been turned, or the locks hadn't been opened or something, or the code hadn't been activated. And now, like we as humans, we're slowly gaining access to like more parts, more like more elements of our potential within the multidimensional aspects of this reality. Whereas before, say you like go to sleep and you close, or you sit down and meditate and you close your eyes, and it might just be like blankness or something. But now we can like go in and every time we like sit down and meditate and go into stillness, we can literally like kind of traverse into a hyperspace just by being aware of that potential. At least that's something that I'm feeling, something that I'm interested in too, which is again like through like the global meditations and stuff like that is like part of what that narrative is actually unfolding through. One thing I did just want to say, and again, guys, thank you for your practical tips. We'll just open the mic up again for a couple more before we get to the end of this broadcast and the meditation. Just a quick note, because this was mentioned in the comments as well, just again, for 5-HTP or anything else, just encouraging people to do their own research and look into it ahead of time. Anything related with like, serotonin and levels within the chemicals of your brain is something that you just want to be mindful of, because there can be quote unquote adverse effects if it's like something that, is going to have a different effect on everyone. So yeah, just be mindful if you are interested in finding some 5-HTP, just do your research on it and to be aware of what it is that you're doing with it. So, and I actually, like Kat actually left me for some 5-HTP. So I actually have some literally like right next to me right now, and I just haven't done it yet. But I'd like to try it. And is it just something that, do I just like, if I like eat it with a meal, does it have like, would it have an effect within like that same day, or like how do you, what's recommended?
You have to boof it. You have to boof it.
Oh, I have to boof it. Okay. No.
Yeah, you do.
How do you actually take it other than boofing it? Does it like, you just like eat it with a meal though? Is that?
How many did I leave you? Was it like just like a?
My boss like 2
like
times a
8
night.
or something.
Yeah.
It said like take like 2 pills with a meal, or is it with a meal or not? I'm just trying to get the detail.
They usually recommend like 1 to 2 capsules, like 2 to 3 times per day for the starting dose, depending on like what level. Like, because I mean, I wouldn't start at 100 right away unless like yeah, like I mean, I started at like 50 and then use that like just twice a day. So you can use it with, you can take it with meals, or you can take it for sleep disorders at the end of the day. I don't know, Jeremy might know more about it, but yeah.
Well,
yeah, how would I take it if I were going to do it?
Yeah.
I take 200 milligrams just before I go to sleep for my dreams, for dreaming. And if I'm taking it, you want to take smaller doses throughout the day if you're taking it in the day at all, because it can make you tired. It's the same thing that's in turkey that makes you sleepy.
Oh, the tryptophans or whatever.
Yeah, and it's pre-converted tryptophan, so it's already it's basically tryptophan that's been tagged to go past your blood-brain barrier and turn into serotonin in your brain specifically. Whereas if you just take tryptophan in your body decides what it wants to do with it, and it'll get turned into serotonin below your blood-brain barrier, which has a totally different set of purposes. It has to do with the cardiac nervous system and stuff, in your stomach and muscles and stuff like that. But I think it's your liver will tag a certain amount to turn into 5-HTP, and then that allows it to go past the blood-brain barrier and turn into serotonin in your brain. And it does have an effect on your dream quality, like quite heavily. So If you're taking it small amounts throughout the day, that's to kind of prevent you from getting tired or sedated, because it can be an anti-anxiety medicine, as it is. But if you're going to sleep, like I just take I'll take like 200, 300 milligrams right before I go to bed, and yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll have to do that sometime. Just try taking one pill before going to bed and kind of see, notice, take notes. All right. Just real quick, guys, before we keep going, I just wanted to pass the mic over to Eddie. Eddie's got to head out. So, Eddie, thanks for tuning in. Anything else that you want to say before you head out, please feel free. Sorry, let me just bring up your mic. Okay, go ahead. You're good.
Good. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just about to head out. I've got to take my little girl roller skating. But, yeah, sorry I can't really add much into dreaming. For me, where I'm at with my life and spiritually, I'm not in civilian mode anymore, so to speak. I'm in like army mode, like warrior mode. So a lot of the things I say won't be relative to anyone in the group. And what I've learned is that people like myself, when you dream, you draw out Archon spirits or grey alien forces, that they're in charge of the dream reality. And I've interacted with them a few times. And because of the spirits that I know who can work through me, who don't like grey aliens, every time we meet in the dream space, they kill them. They just end them in the dream. And the grey aliens are really scared of people like me in the dream space. And pondering on those experiences and the reflection with my thoughts makes me think that grey alien technology, I'm talking about physical grey aliens, not like spirit grey aliens, they seem to be able to control the dream reality, the dream space. And what they do is present themselves as someone familiar who you know. So one time that they tried to interact with me, they presented themselves as my best friend from childhood. But the spirits that were with me in my dream saw straight through it and told me and exposed them. And ever since then, if they want to talk to me, they don't come in disguise. They come in their form. They look like grey aliens, like what you see on TV. It's the spitting image. There's short ones and there's tall ones. And so, yeah, I would just take precaution on what you see in your dreams, what you hear in your dreams, what you feel in your dreams. Because one of the ways that Archon spirits and the grey alien association with the Archon spirits manipulate human consciousness is through our dreams, and they usually do it through a form that is familiar to yourself. So you might see someone who has died, who you were really close with in your dreams, and they might tell you something profound, and it could change the direction of your life. And that might be a grey alien tricking you and getting you to do something they want by emotional manipulation. Because as soon as you recognize that person that you had an emotional bond with, you've got an instant connection. You've got trust already built up. And so just be wary of what happens in your dreams. I know I always do if I do happen to have a dream, because that space is where we're babies and we can be manipulated extremely easy. You know, it's very simple to get a baby to do what you want when you're an adult. And it's also very easy for a grey alien to manipulate us in the dream world. But yeah, all right, I got my family here. I got to get going in the car and do some human stuff.
All right.
But yeah, I really enjoy listening to other people's experiences of dreaming and what they think, what their perceptions, where they're at. And it helps me understand myself too, because I choose consciously not to dream, and I do it as a form of protection relative to what I'm doing in the spirit world with spirits, and that's out of reach for most people. So what I was saying before, it's relative to me, it's not relative to anyone else, because no one else has reached that stage of development yet. So I don't want to try and scare anyone, but be aware of the fact that spirits and extraterrestrials with advanced technology can access our dreams, and they usually present themselves in a form that is familiar to us. So you've got an instant trust relationship. So what they then say and do, you'll believe, you'll be convinced. So when you wake up and you go, oh, I just had the most amazing dream and I know answers to this, or I got told I should go and do this, use logic and reason and have foresight and thinking skills. You know, what's going to happen after you do that? How is it going to change the direction of your life if you do that? You know, and if there are negatives coming up, if it's a 50-50 chance, it might be good, but don't do it. You know, and if it was legitimate, if it was an urgent need, it'd happen again in tomorrow night's dream, and it would reoccur in the dream after that, and the dream after that, and it would persist. But grey aliens and people or spirits trying to manipulate us in our dreams, that they really just do it once, and then they change their tactic. So use reasoning skills in regard to what you might witness in your dreams, and that way you won't make bold or rash decisions that could affect the course of your life in a negative direction. And that's pretty much how I deal with things. It's how I stay grounded and reserved, and many times my energy's gone friggin' haywire, and I just choose to be silent and to be patient, to be quiet. I don't act on any of my thoughts or feelings. I let a few days go by, and if they're still there, then I might do something. But if they go away and everything calms down, well, I just carry on with my life like it never happened in the first place, and the manipulation obviously failed. It didn't work. But it's so hard. We're at the bottom in the dream world. What do you see and experience in the dream world, if it's independent of you, then yeah, it's superior with its consciousness. So be careful.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Eddie. Thanks. And yeah, definitely reiterating what Eddie's saying. And those are some key points and things that we've talked about in dream classes here and there, like the idea of dreams getting quote unquote like hijacked by other entities. But again, like without having to get freaked out about that, I think the trick in that is simply knowing that that's possible allows you to sort of like see through illusions. And I think that is like also what the bigger test in consciousness is, where it's just like, hey, we're gonna send you like this scenario, and you're gonna have to see through this, and if you don't, then you're gonna learn the lessons as a result of it. So it's like interesting to simply know that those parts of like entities being able to disguise themselves as other characters within our dreams is a possibility, and simply by knowing that it's a possibility allows us to like meet that possibility with logic, reason, and discernment as well in the process of being able to like rise above it. So yeah, definitely, Eddie, thanks for those good reminders, because again, like that's not something that a lot of people even know as being real. Therefore, when they see their friend tell them a message, they automatically think it's their friend. But again, let's just like tune into our feelings, because our feelings will be able to like check in to see you know, like what that entity really is and stuff like that. And sometimes literally asking them, other people will talk about this, you know, like ask them their intention, and sometimes like that will sort of like put them on the spot, so to speak. Yeah, it's a very, very, very dynamic and interesting part of the dream space. Sweet. Eddie, thanks for coming.
Something, oh sorry.
Till next time.
Okay, Eddie's heading out. Devin, was this to Eddie or did?
Yeah, I know if he needs to leave, he can go. But I was just gonna reiterate on something I've learned about like surviving. It's just kind of like, you know, if you threw a baby out into the forest to survive on its own, it's gonna get like mauled or attacked by the bear. So it's like you need to learn forest survival techniques, right? You need to know what the forest is, what kind of animals are out there, et cetera, et cetera. So it's almost kind of like a really similar thing. If you're going to go into the astral plane, you're going to know how to navigate yourself through the astral plane.
Yeah.
But it's like all the times, it's like what happened with me, actually. It's like why I developed psychosis. It's because, like, you know, I was experimenting with entheogens, so like MDMA, LSD, and I was just like shot right into, I was like shot right into the astral plane, right? So I'm like, oh, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And it's like all these, you know, I correlated them to like really primitive things like, oh, there's like demons after me or something like that, because I didn't know what was actually going on. But yeah, so that's just what I'm explaining. It's just kind of like, you can kind of learn how to navigate the astral plane just through anything. And if there's one thing that ayahuasca taught me, it's like you can't get manipulated if you know who you are. And it's like who you are, it's like the best thing you can bring to the astral plane literally is a loving intention. And literally, like, nothing can do you any harm. Nothing can do love any harm. And because when you're up there, you're in a more potent conscious form. And so if you're just traveling as love, nothing can really quote unquote go wrong, unless you have an intention of, like, you know, going out there to like spy on someone or gain some kind of power, etc. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's again, just hitting on this point. You know, like, it's kind of that idea that you can almost imagine like a force field around yourself made of pure white light or love. That's what kind of people will try to explain it as. And yeah, like, I think that's again, just kind of like a thing to keep in mind is that, like, within your dream space, like, you still are safe. And if you feel that maybe like you're not fully safe, you can re-encode like a protective force field around you simply by like imagining like white light and love, and or even like imagining having like a white piece of chalk, and that chalk is like love or something, and you like draw like a circle around you or something like that. Use like a visual cue, a visual, like a narrative to sort of bring that element into place. But yeah, like, that's something we can always talk about a little bit further, kind of like the more advanced levels of like navigating the dream space. And yeah, it's definitely you know, we are learning about the forest here as we venture through it, and we are learning about the different creatures and the different elements and like how things interact and stuff. And I think that is like a big part of dreaming. It's not just like it's learning from the experiences, but it's learning about the place that the experiences happen within, and the, you know, the rules and the tips and the tricks and the codes and all sorts of different stuff. So
there's also like, I mean, the same, it's almost like with the experience that I've had with like ayahuasca and my own dreams and the astral projections that I've had, it's like dead close to how you navigate it here on Earth. It's like you need to be open, you have to be open to receiving help. And like, you need to feel safe for yourself as like at first, like you need to be consciously like here on the physical plane, you need to have, you know, a lover, a house to sleep in, food, you know, the basic needs. Like the basic needs of consciousness is just like being, you know, like understanding oneself, like these little like these really, you know, just like practical kind of just like a basic conscious understanding. And like just with that, you're able to kind of, you know, it's navigating the astral realm is just like dead close to how you navigate a regular life here on Earth, because like they're almost the same in a sense. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah. Again, like, it's kind of like the you know, like, what you put out is what you get back in, and we observe that very clearly within the dream space. And again, like, through understanding that that's what happens in the dream space helps us understand the subtleties of how things work within this reality, which again is like so key. By studying the dream space, we're actually understanding how this physical reality works too.
Right.
Yeah, which is pretty cool, because again, like, this reality right here, right now, like, it's still another version of the dream, meaning it's still built upon the same code that the dream space is. Like, there's nothing different about the code here. If anything, there's just like additional elements to it that create the illusion of sometimes like less, if that makes sense, because it's through like the illusions of like filters and and things like that, when in fact this reality is equally as dynamic and complex as the dream space is 100% of the time. So at least that's the theories that make sense for me. Think for yourself. But again, for me, like, that's just like, yeah, it's there. That's what we're waking up to. And again, like, that's what, like, you know, if I were just, I would just kind of, you know, I was just like watching TV the other day and just like interviewing people on the street. I'm just like, like, what would, if like CNN like suddenly just like found me on the street and like gave me a microphone and gave me a chance to like talk to like 5 million people for 1 second, what would I say? You know, I'm just like, would that be possible? Yeah. Just be like, well, you see, this reality is actually another version of the dream space. And when we understand that our thoughts create within dreams, we understand that our thoughts create here, because we're actually multidimensional beings that exist beyond the physical. And this is mostly just an illusion, but it's waking up to our potential within the illusion that this that's what this life is all about. So remember, you are dreaming. And yeah, I don't know, like, right, it's just like, how do you get this information across to people? But at the same time, I feel like that's our mission, that's our objective for a lot of people tuning into this, is to be the bridge for these higher conscious ideas, both through living it and through being able to talk about it, being able to share it through art, being able to share it through your own experiences. Sometimes, you know, you could like bring all these ideas into some sort of short story that you could write, or some sort of movie that you could make, something like that. I feel like, again, that's part of our objective, to help get other people start thinking outside the box and start getting them to sort of wake up to a lot of these ideas in their own way as well. Okay, guys, we're getting close to the end of the show. Kat, you got your microphone open. Did you want to jump in with something, or?
Oh, no, it was just a silly comment about how you, like the whole remember you were dreaming thing. I think you like said that to like a Rogers employee or something, or like a Bell Canada employee, like online one time. I remember you sent me that. You're having a very common conversation. It was a very regular conversation. Then at the end, you were like, "Remember, you were dreaming." And he's like, "Thanks, bud."
Yeah, like, yeah. Sometimes I just drop that
in everyday occurrences.
Yeah. I'll do that every now and then if I see like a random Facebook live feed that pops up that's like completely not related to metaphysics. I'll just like go in there and just drop a few little gems. People are reading, they're like, yeah, fuck Trump, blah, blah, remember you were dreaming. Yeah. Like, you know, it just kind of floats by, yet it still like hits part of their consciousness. There's like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They're not actively thinking about it. A part of their brain did read it as a signal to something.
Yeah.
It's registered somewhere there.
Yeah, it hit that deeper spiritual nerve somewhere along the line. So yeah, cool. All right. Again, guys, we're getting close to wrapping this up. I did just want to, because Kirk is still in here too. If Kirk is still here, whether or not he, if he's still awake or perhaps left his computer. Music playing. Hold on, Kirk.
Still here.
Kirk, did you want to add in any practical tips as we get close to wrapping up the end of the show, or anything else you might want to share? Go
I
ahead.
have a couple things. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
it sounds okay. Sounds good.
You know, I've been studying herbs and mushrooms, and I think I told you about this, or I wrote it on a sidebar in another class. It's called Rishi. And to study Rishi it's only, as long as it's been around hundreds of thousands of years, only royalty was allowed to take it, because it would build your psychic and spiritual power. So if a strong moon or a new moon is coming, I'll take it for 3 days before, not necessarily to dream. But there's also a client person wrote me a letter, and she was able to get off Adderall by taking this stuff, L-tyrosine. And I have a bottle here. It's called L-tyrosine 500. But so those are two things that I would recommend taking to enhance, to open your brain up. And my practice, you know, I take Ambien off and on by a medical doctor, and it's called a hypnotic. It's not a sleeping pill. And the Ambien will knock your body out, but then it puts your mind in a trance. It's probably the trippiest thing I've ever had. And before I do that, though, I pray with angels, archangels, to come into my bedroom with me and my dog and to pray over our bodies and protect us while we sleep. And I feel completely and absolutely different after spending time with the angels. They're literally like regenerating our bodies at my request. So that might be something, if anybody can use that. I call in Raphael, which is a medicine angel, but and Michael, but tonight Raphael showed up with Uriel, who's, I think, like a pink, gold, orange angel. So, you know, you can, like, ask a powerful entity, being, an angel, to be there before you go to sleep to help you. So that's what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, and I feel completely healed and energized when I wake up. So I would recommend and want to hear what, you know, if anybody uses that.
L-tyrosine. Yeah, I haven't used L-tyrosine, but I know a bit about it, and it's another amino acid like tryptophan, one of the building blocks of protein. And I never heard about L-tyrosine being used as a dream thing, but I do know that it's supposed to promote generally buoyant moods, and that another interesting thing that I read about L-tyrosine is that it has a really strong connection with the Aztec and Mayan people because of their diet. Specifically, the Aztec people ate a certain crop. It was like a type of amaranth, which is like a, you know, amaranth. It's a seed, and that was like the staple of their diet. And amaranth is kind of like a quinoa or something like this. But amaranth is like extremely high in L-tyrosine, and I was reading that it's reported that if you eat a lot of amaranth, or if you have a lot of L-tyrosine in your diet, which is actually hard to get, there's not a lot of things that have a lot of it in it, a lot of L-tyrosine in it. It's supposed to produce like a buoyant mood that can be kind of manic, even though. So I was reading about that it can cause like the kind of happy mood where you're like, oh, I can go like do something that I probably shouldn't do, and I won't feel bad about it, like that kind of thing. So you look at the Aztec people, they kind of were doing a lot of that. You know, they're really they were super like kind of happy, celebratory, but they also had this like dark undercurrent to their society. But yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up. I've never thought about using it as a dream supplement. And, I've already read the whole Wikipedia page, but I had known, just since you were talking, but I had known about that, and it's actually not on, with the whole connection with the Aztec people. L-tyrosine is, I know that there's, yeah, that of the ancient peoples, they were getting like the most of that, and it's a building block of protein, right? So we're all getting a little bit of it, or else we wouldn't have proteins to function. We have to have some L-tyrosine, but yeah. So I just wanted to put that in there, and I think it turns into phenethylamine. It's like the phenethylamine chain. So that's like the if anyone, any psychedelic like drug geeks in here, like the difference between a tryptamine and a phenethylamine psychedelic. So like LSD, DMT, or tryptamines, which would be tryptophan, which is like related, which is 5-HTP. It has that same structural base, and serotonin. And then dopamine is the phenethylamine path. It's central nervous system stimulation, which is related to MDMA and mescaline and all the 2Cs. So yeah, so it's just interesting bit of fact there. And I know that psychedelic mushrooms are the tryptamines as well. It's 5-HO DMT, so more related to serotonin and such like this. So it's just there you go. So,
cool.
Interesting.
Thanks, Jeremy. Just to segue real quick, Devin, you're heading out. If you wanted to just say anything farewell or any other thoughts before we wrap this up, please feel free to do that before you go to bed. Devin, go ahead.
Nothing. All out there. Good night, guys. Thanks a lot. Everyone had really good stuff to say, and best of luck. And yeah, just like reach out and just be. Thanks.
Sweet, man. And we'll see you. We'll see you at Agartha. Well, there's a dream tree in Agartha.
Oh,
so
man. Sorry, now you're bringing up thoughts in my head, man. It's about the dream tree. So I asked ayahuasca how she can keep track of so much people with her connection in her realm. I'm like, how can someone, like, she's a being, you're a being, like we're all capable of this potential. So I was saying, like, how could I like create like a realm that I could connect others to, a little cloud for ourselves? And she's like, you must practice. I'm like, okay, and that's all she said. So it's like, I'm like, how do I practice? And I'm still trying to figure it out. But it's like, when she said that, I did feel something click. And she's not going to give me the answers and be like, yeah, guys, like, party at the dream tree, because that's the kind of intention she's avoiding me from making, right? So she just said, just practice. And so it's like, okay. So it's like, I don't know, like strict meditation or something, like, but I want to find out how to make like an actual realm through like my own conscious creation, because that's, I think, what the dream tree actually is. Or I don't think it's already out there, but I think we need to construct it ourselves. Like, we need to go there and plant it together. So I don't know, but yeah, it was really cool. But practice, yeah, and that's it. I'll see you guys later.
Sweet, man, sweet, awesome, Devin, you're awesome. Thank you so much, brother.
See you guys.
See you in the future in the dream space. Cool. All right. So again, guys, we're getting close to wrapping this up. It's about 1:30, so which is standard with Dream class. We usually just completely disregard all normal, regular rules related to time. Time is very flexible in this class. There's a couple other things I wanted to mention, but Jeremy, you have your microphone open. Was there something you wanted to say?
No, I was just
okay.
I forgot. I'm reading Wikipedia right now. I'm not like.
No worries.
I'm not paying attention. I'm listening though. I'm listening.
It's good. Cool. Okay. Another practical thing that I did just want to share with you guys, just because it's something that I've recently been bringing into my reality, and I put up a post about it. But it's actually like we're talking about different ways to be able to interact with our dream spaces and our meditations, and we're talking about like supplements. We're talking about like energy cultivation, not smoking weed, writing down our dreams. Another thing that I wanted to introduce is like the concept of a tool is like the idea of like using crystals while sleeping. But in particular, it's like these tools that I've recently been creating called the Light Guardian pendants. And some of you guys would have seen these, and these are like crystals which have like magic on the inside of them, which create like the luminescence. And basically, like these crystals, what I've been doing originally, like I just kind of made them just because they looked awesome. But then what I realized is that like I kind of wear them on my belt buckle, on my belt loops. And what I've been doing is like they're naturally there for me to like hold on to while meditating. And so like for those of you who are just listening to the audio, there's like a sphere quartz crystal and a quartz point crystal. And you take the sphere crystal and you like place it into your palm, and then you're holding on to the quartz crystal. And if you do that with both of them, and then you're like sleeping while holding on to these, and they kind of become almost like joysticks within the dream space. But it's also like this idea that when you're working, and this is like still part of the mystery of like, how do crystals interact and how can we interact with them? Crystals respond to like electronic, like frequency being sent through them. And so in the same way that you could like send like an actual electronic pulse, and you could get like a vibration from a crystal that you can use to manage to keep track of time with, which is what we do within watches and such. There's also the idea that like simply by holding onto a crystal, we can actually send our own electronic energy through it, and then like creating a subtle vibration through the crystal. And what I've been doing is like, while meditating with these, is actually like observing the pulse that I can feel amplified, like just by holding these. So like we can feel the pulse of our entire body
in us. We know it's in our heart, and then sometimes we can feel it by like checking our pulse. And another thing that we can do, that I do sometimes, is if I'm like meditating, is like even if I just like have my fingers together, if I'm like putting my fingers together, and then I can feel like the tips of my fingers pulsing. So in that same concept, if I'm like holding onto these crystals, and again with like the quartz sphere in the middle and like the quartz point sticking up, and then like right now, like it's like I can feel that pulse like so readily. And then what I can actually do is I can use my awareness of that pulse as something to focus on while falling asleep. And so like that's kind of like a technique to do when falling asleep, is to like put your focus on something to get into this process of like body asleep, mind awake, body asleep, mind awake. And so by like having that pulse evident and obvious for me, that is like a focal point for me to have while falling asleep. And it's something that I'm still like getting in the process of working with. And I do want to like invite you guys that if you're interested, like these are tools that I'm actually like creating, and they're available, and you guys can actually get them, and like money being raised from them is like supporting the back end of the Paradigm Shift Central project. And if you guys do want these, and again, they're, for those of you listening to the audio, connect to my Facebook profile, facebook.com/Skull Babylon, and send me a message there. But again, they're made with polymer clay, crystals, and magic. And so like basically like from there, there's something that's like still kind of revealing themselves to me. But I feel the idea of being able to work with crystals within dreams is another avenue worth exploring. So yeah, again, if you guys are like interested in getting these, even just to have them and to have them as meditation devices, they are available, and you can totally check those out. But again, as a practical tip, I just wanted to let you guys know that that's something that I'm like experimenting with. And one thing that I noticed is that like one night when I like I was like using them, I like fell asleep like on top of my covers. And then somehow in my dream, I woke up like facing the exact opposite way on my bed, which is like not something that commonly happens. So I'm not saying it like was because of the crystals, but it was just like, it was weird. Like something happened. Like I don't normally just like completely do a 180 in my bed. So I like woke up at the other end. I was just like, what the hell? I'm like, do these like crystals like teleport me and then like drop me back onto my bed or something? Is that what's going on here? So these things are still a bit of a mystery, but I feel the idea of working with crystals within dreams is part of the mystery of the dream space, the dream exploration process, worth looking at and worth exploring. So again, Light Guardian pendants, if you guys are interested, send me a message on Facebook, facebook.com/Skull Babylon, SkullBabyoln. And I'll just put that into the chat for anybody else who isn't already connected yet. So with that said, that pretty much wraps up the practical tips portion of the class, and we're going to move into our closing meditation. Thank you again to everyone for being a part of this, for everyone tuned into this. I'll go over some like basic notes, community update stuff relative to things at the end of the broadcast. Right now, we're just going to focus on the meditation, and we're just going to make it a quick one, a really, really quick one. So with this meditation process, again, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working towards the idea of meeting up in a shared dream space. And this shared dream space is the concept of the dream tree. So it's a very simple concept, the concept of a tree in the middle of a field. And then there's like the paradigm shift sigil above it with a portal kind of activating, though that in itself is kind of like the tree is primary to this focus. And then through us putting our intention and attention through this meditation, it is literally crystallizing this into the astral realms, into the dream space, so that we can collectively go to it. It becomes, it becomes like a literal thing that we can gather around within the dream space to be able to have like paradigm shift discussions and hangouts in our dream space. So planting the seeds now, so that like 5 years from now, we'll be like dream tree, boom, go there. And it'll actually become like a very real part of the project. Continuously. So it's a very, very, very cool idea. And again, the idea of like shared dreams is something we can talk more about in other broadcasts. And we've talked about it a lot in plenty of broadcasts, but the basic idea that can people have shared dreams? Yes. And so that's exactly what we're going to kind of open up to in this moment. So with that said, just inviting you guys to get into space for this closing meditation. And this will be a short one. So in some ways, we'll just kind of like allow ourselves to let this be more symbolic and allow ourselves to kind of get into that space as effectively and efficiently as possible without having to rush, but without spending 30 minutes doing it either. So just inviting you guys at this point to find a place where you can relax and maintain a level of stillness. Stillness is a very, very important part of any meditation process when working on going inside. Because sometimes when we move out of stillness, it can sort of gently shake the connection to that inner space, the signal. So by maintaining stillness, it maintains the integrity of the signal, so to speak. So let me just get a glass of water and just inviting you guys to get comfortable. Okay. So just allow yourself to be in a place where you can find that stillness. And from here, just connecting with our breath. Gentle inhales through the nose. Exhales through the nose or the mouth. Continuing to breathe gentle inhales and exhales. Each breath, just allowing yourself to become relaxed. Allowing your mind to be present. And so from here, let us quickly scan our body as we prepare to move inwards. So just bringing awareness to your feet, your shins, your knees, your legs. Allowing your feet, your shins, your knees, and your legs to gently relax simply by bringing your attention to them. Bringing awareness to your root, your groin, your hips. Allowing your root, your groin, and your hips to relax. Good. Bringing awareness to your torso, your stomach, your chest. Allowing your torso, your stomach, and your chest to gently relax. Bring awareness to your shoulders, your biceps, your forearms, your hands, allowing your shoulders, your biceps, your forearms, your hands to relax. Good. And continuing to scan the body, bringing awareness to the throat, to the neck, to the jaw, to the tongue. Just allow the throat, the jaw, the neck, and the tongue to relax. And bring awareness to the cheeks, to the nose, to the eyebrows, to the forehead. Allowing the cheeks, the nose, the eyebrows, and the forehead to gently relax. And then just bringing awareness to our entire head, to our ears, and to the top of the crown. Allowing our ears and top of the crown, our entire head to gently relax. Just connecting with the body, with the breath, the entire body, just being still, relaxed, calm. In this place of peace, in this place of presence. And so as we prepare ourselves, let us turn our attention inwards. And from here, imagine yourself standing in a field and bringing our awareness to our sensations, imagining the air on your skin, imagining the temperature of the air, looking up into the sky and seeing not just a blue sky, but in fact, the landscape of the universe above you with stars shining, celestial bodies and movements, reflecting the dynamics of the dream space that we commonly can expect to see. And so becoming aware of your feet on the ground, feeling the grass on your toes, and even smelling what the air smells like. Just bringing yourself into this space through your connection of your senses and through your imagination. Good.
And now for this meditation, to do it a little bit differently, let us imagine an empty field. And then from here, following your intuition, imagine yourself either walking or floating and moving forwards through this field. And at this point, you're the only person in it. And as you continue to move forward, find a place that calls to you. And when you're ready, gently bring yourself down onto the ground. And now within this meditation, there's something that you brought with you, something very special. And so you reach into your pocket or into your pouch, your satchel, and inside you reach and you grab and you pull out a single seed. And this seed is a potent seed. This seed is the seed of the dream tree. And so, kneeling down on the ground, gently take this seed and gently begin to prepare the dirt. So feeling the texture of the dirt in your hands as you move it off to the side. And then, before you put the seed in the dirt, gently place it between your hands and place your hands wherever you want to put them, either in a prayer position, against your heart, against your chest, against your third eye, going between any of those. And take a moment here to place your intention into the seed, allowing and telling the seed how much you love it, and allowing the seed to grow into the tree that it already is, that is encoded inside of itself. A seed that will grow into a tree that will be a symbol and a beacon for other dreamers to find, to gather around. So just take a moment here in complete silence without me talking to just put your intentions of love into this seed. Just love this seed just for a moment. So just breathe here, connect with your breath, and just go for just a moment of silence, putting your intention into the seed. Breathe. And so thanking the seed, showing your appreciation, your love for the seed, before you place it in the dirt, doing anything else that you wish to do, even if you choose to, gently kissing the seed, symbolically representing your connection and your love for it. And then gently place the seed under the dirt and cover it. And then from here, we'll gently take a moment to meditate on the seed with our hands a few inches above the dirt and just putting our intention into it. And within this meditation, within the aspects of what is capable within the dream space, what we will observe is the tree growing into its form before our very eyes. And so within this short moment, allow yourself to continue to place your hands towards the seed. And as you do, you begin to notice a small sprout emerge out from the dirt. And as you do, you smile to greet it as it rises up and continues to grow. And this small sprout begins to turn into the essence of what is becoming a bigger tree. And so you stand up, no longer kneeling down, and you step back, continuing to place your hands towards the direction of the tree, continuing to bathe it with your love, continuing to share your intentions, crystallizing this tree, allowing it to become what it already is. And so the one seed now continues to grow, and in front of you is a larger tree that is continuing to grow, taller than your own height at this point, and growing, unfolding in front of you, its branches unraveling, its leaves appearing, its trunk strengthening, and its roots deepening into the ground. And so continue to place your love towards this tree. As you do, opening up your heart, opening up your minds. And as you do this, you become aware that you are no longer just by yourself, but in fact, there are other dreamers, other light guardians, shifters who are here with you, meditating around the tree. And so, standing in a circle, let us continue to put our intentions towards the tree as the tree continues to grow, and even from it emerging points of light, swirling energy, beautiful essence. And so as the tree grows into its larger form, it begins to slow, its root strong, its essence noticeable. And you can feel the heartbeat from the tree. You can feel the energy pulsating from it. And so just take a moment here to connect with the tree. And so you can either go closer to it, placing your hands on it, feeling the bark of it, and allowing this meditation to be shared with those who are there with you in this moment. And to move towards the conclusion of this short meditation, to crystallize our intention of this tree, we'll do 3 simple ohms to allow our intentions to be carried through the power of voice and vibration through this meditation to where our thoughts are directing it, through the hyperspace and into the essence of the tree, into its roots, into its branches. And in this moment, you also look up above the tree and you see the paradigm shift sigil portal present as well, and energy emerging from it. You see the aura of the tree becoming stronger. And so, standing next to the tree, either with your hands on it or even hugging it, however you choose in this moment, let us do 3 simple ohms to allow our intentions to be carried into this tree, to allow it to crystallize further. And so from here, connecting with the breath, we'll move into the first ohm. So take a nice, deep, gentle inhale together. And Om. Just connect with the breath here. And even for those of you, as you choose, doing the Om either out loud or just as a vibration within your mouth, within your throat, within your heart. And we'll just do 2 more simple Ohms, allowing our love to be carried through the vibration that we create with them. And you can visualize the other people around the tree in this moment, our shared Ohms meeting the tree at the center point, circles overlapping, Vesica Pisces, the flower of life being created through the vibrations we make in this moment, creating the grid and the pattern that strengthens the tree's foundation. So 2 more ohms. Deep inhale together now. Good. Just take a simple breath here. Again, bringing your attention into the intention you wish to carry on this last Om, of just the ideas of love, the ideas of the tree being a beacon, the ideas of the tree's roots reaching, being a symbol for the others within the dream to awaken to their own remembrance. So let us do one more Om together. So deep inhale together now. And Om. Good, good. Just connecting with the breath through your imagination. And just taking a moment here before we conclude this meditation of just imagining yourself either hugging the tree, showing appreciation for it, even putting your forehead against it, your third eye connecting with it. And in the process of doing it, connecting to the connection we all share, to the connection of the earth, to the connection of Gaia herself. Good. So just thanking the dream and allowing yourself to even hear the whispers of it. So just take another moment here in silence to either just express what you wish to express to the tree or to listen to what it may have to say to you. So just continue here in silence with the tree. And so just sharing in this connection of the tree's gratitude for you as well in this moment. Understanding that the tree is made possible thanks to you helping it grow. And that your growth is made possible thanks to the assistance of the tree as well. Both of you helping support one another together. And so to conclude the meditation, just imagine yourself sitting with your back to the tree, sitting down in meditation underneath the tree. And as you do, taking a look at all the other people around the tree, maintaining this visual image, knowing that this is a place that you can return to through your own meditations, your dream practices, seeing the other people conversing, hugging, even taking a moment here to share in any hugs that you wish with the other people at the dream tree, thanking them, showing your love for them, showing your love for this moment. And so when you're ready, sitting with your back to the tree, moving yourself into a meditation posture underneath the tree, connecting with your breath here, deep, gentle inhales, gentle exhales, feeling the connection of the tree still with you and bringing it with you beyond this meditation. And from here, as we conclude, just allowing this reality to continue to exist, knowing that we can return to it, knowing that we are already there from a multidimensional perspective, a place of celebration, gathering, and deep ancient knowledge. And so to conclude, gently bringing awareness to your breath. From here, bringing awareness to your physical body. And when you're ready, gently choosing, if you wish, to wiggle your toes, your fingers, and taking your time and slowly, when you're ready, open your eyes and return your awareness to the space around you. Aho. There we go. Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks again for being a part of this, for sharing your focus, your love lasers, helping crystallize more of the dream tree into this reality. Much love, much gratitude for the dream tree. The dream tree says much love for you guys for showing up, for helping bring it into this reality, symbolically, actually. And so before we wrap this up, I'll just open up the microphones. We still just have Jeremy, Katarina, Kat, and Kirk left. If you guys had anything that you want to share relative to that meditation, please feel free to do. That's always interesting to hear. And even for people in the live chat, if you guys want to share, because sometimes people will say like, I saw something or something happened or it was visceral or something. So any feedback or anything you guys want to briefly talk about related to that meditation, please feel free. Jeremy, go ahead.
I'm going to, because you've asked me to say something, I'm going to say that I don't have anything to say because I just wanted to keep my visions to myself with that. So, it was really interesting. I feel like it would be too personal to share, so I'm not going to. But I really like the tree, and I had images of vines a lot, but it was hard for me to get far enough away from the tree to really see it. I'll tell you that much. I kept on trying to push my head back to like really get a feel for it. But there was a lot of other things too. But it was definitely really inter-autonomous. That's what I would say. It was beautiful. So thank you.
Cool. Thanks, man. Awesome. Sweet. Kat, was there anything you want to say if you'd like?
Yeah, it was really beautiful. I was walking towards the tree and it felt like I was kind of like seeing like this bird's eye view perspective of it growing at first, and then I began seeing it like as it was in front of me, and it was just like expanding and growing at such a rapid pace, and the wind was blowing in the trees, and the wind was blowing the leaves, and it was finally at its like highest point. And yeah, it was just really phenomenal. It was really beautiful.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Kirk, you're still with us. Kirk, did you have anything to say relative to that, if you'd like? Just if not, that's totally cool. Either way. Sure.
Went into the bathtub to listen to it.
Oh,
it was beautiful. Now, because of the way that you described it, I will know where it's at and I will find it. I don't doubt. So thank you very much, Brendan.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah, and definitely. So for everyone listening to this, this is an invitation to come have a party at the Dream Tree with all the other dreamers and shifters. It's happening there. So and imagine like how real that idea is like, okay, we're like, this is a natural part of our evolution where we're right now, we're on the internet, we're connecting, we're broadcasting, we're having this virtual meeting, and maybe this is like the stepping stone to get us towards having those astral etheric meetings as well. So yeah, it's a very interesting and exciting idea to at least be open to, and I think being open to it is part of what makes it more within this reality. It's like it's the idea is out there and we're bringing it into this reality. So thanks again to you guys for being a part of it. So with that said, yeah, we're ready to wrap up this broadcast, and just as some minor technical things, reminding people that they can always go back and check out the recording for this dream class or any broadcast through the main website on my YouTube channel at Skull Babylon, and also to subscribe to Paradigm Shift Radio on iTunes or through your podcast apps, and that's how you can get the MP3 versions of broadcasts. And if you guys haven't yet, encouraging you to go back and check out the guided meditation that we did for the super full moon, the global healing astral projection meditation, and that one went really well. So if you enjoyed even just that short meditation there, definitely go check out that meditation as well. And in addition to that, I just want to remind people that they can sign up on the main website, paradigmshiftcentral.com, to create their shifter profile, to use the quest journals. Check out some of the quest journals that have been going up. We got some new people who have been making quest journals, sharing their spiritual experiences. And that's there as a platform to help encourage you guys to practice documenting and sharing your stories, to give you a place to share those stories with a community that is supporting each other in doing so, as we collectively document the bigger story, the bigger shift in consciousness. So you can create your shifter profile free online at paradigmshiftcentral.com. And again, a huge thank you to the Patreon supporters for all of your guys' support, for helping make these broadcasts possible and supporting the time that goes into the production of these and the ongoing evolution of the project. For those of you who would like to sign up to add your support to the team Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/Brendan Culleton, or go to the main website and scroll down to the bottom of the page and you'll see the link to the monthly support squad, which is the team Patreon. And you can sign up for the asking donation, micro donation of just $3 to $5 a month. And in turn, you also get your shifter booster kit, which comes with the shift buttons, which are potent tools that we use for hacking the matrix. And they have the website to the Paradigm Shift Central website, and they are used for evoking synchronicity and connecting with community and planting seeds where you are. So again, huge shout out to everyone for your support, for tuning into this broadcast, for being a part of it, and for adding your love and your intention and your attention to it. So let me just take a sip of water here real quick. And let me just double check. And next broadcast will be the team building broadcasts on Thursday. So that will be November 17th. And after that, the next broadcast will be the following Thursday, which will be another episode of Paradigm Shift Destiny School, though I haven't fully picked the topic yet. I'm going to have to check with some people and see what topic we actually want to do for Destiny School. I kind of have to listen to the universe to see what is needed in that moment. The last one we did was on aliens, UFOs, and entities. So stay tuned for that. And again, the team building broadcast is another chance for us to come and talk, and really that conversation can be about anything. And it's a chance for us to like share some of the projects we're working on, collaborate, and continue to inspire and get to know one another, and to grow and build as a team of shifters. So a shifter is a person who is intentionally helping shift consciousness. So if you're new to this project and that works for you, then thank you for being a part of the global team. Thank you for being a part of the bigger project. And I think that's about it. So yeah, reminding you guys to keep writing down your dreams, to do your reality checks, to pay attention to if you're like smoking cannabis or not, and to like even cultivate your energy, and to practice your meditation, and to really just like put your tell the universe that you're interested in your dreams, and the universe will listen. And yeah. I think we're there. This was a really awesome show, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of it. So with that said, on behalf of ParadigmShiftCentral.com and all the other beautiful shifters out there, reminding you guys to please share this episode with your friends and continue the conscious conversations where you are. Fellow shifters who are with us, Jeremy, Katarina, and Kirk, please join me in saying farewell to the other beautiful people out there on the internet. So good night. Farewell. Have a beautiful moment. Have a beautiful now. We love you guys. Show them some love. Make some noise. Ow, ow, ow. Love you guys. All right, guys.
Sweet dreams. Sweet dreams.
Love you guys. Sweet. Awesome. Thanks, guys. And remember, hit that like button and subscribe on YouTube. And until next time, keep it shifty, and we will see you guys in the future. So remember, you were dreaming. All right. One love, guys. Peace.